What's good, Spirit Squad? Today we're going to have a pretty good day of it, and today's going to be both a new arena update day, so that's why we're on a little bit later than usual, because I did want to play some Mono Blue with the addition of Lantern Bearer instead of Ascendant Spirit in today's list. So if you want to check out a discussion about this specific list, then what we're going to do is hit MTG Ectoplasm, because the host of that podcast, Dwight, actually just did a whole interview with me a couple of days ago, published it yesterday. And the highlight was, of course, the Mono Blue Spirits deck, which has the addition of combat research. And I took out Ascendant Spirit for 2 copies of Lantern Bearer so that we can facilitate the combat research a little bit better. So that's going to be something that I want to have everybody check out. And I'm going to post his name right in here. So let's see. You know, I just watched Ghostbusters last week. I should probably know how to spell ectoplasm a little better. But anyway, so the idea here is that we don't really want to fight too many ground pounders from our opponents. And that's going to be true whether we're looking at Pioneer or here in Explorer. People are still playing cards like Kiki Jiki tokens. We're playing against things like Blood Tithe Harvester. And when you move on to Pioneer, there's going to be a few additional threats too, like Satyr Wayfinder from the Abzan Greasefang deck, for example. And for all of those reasons, we don't really want to be playing Ascendant Spirit, which requires a lot of mana to get over creatures and start flying. Instead, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Lantern Bearer, which also fly. Because we have only flyers in our deck now, we're going to go back to playing 2 copies of Lofty Denial on top of the 4 Geist Light Snare. So that's going to be the little bit of change that's made for today's Explorer list, and we're going to play a few matches of that. Our sideboard, however, is pretty much the same. I've got 3 copies of Aether Gust, primarily for the red decks, but they do have up play against green too. 2 copies of Unlicensed Hearse, primarily for Greasefang, but they also have some nice play against Rakdos midrange if you want them there. The only thing about Unlicensed Hearse in specifically Explorer, remember there is no Arclight Phoenix deck here because there's no Treasure Cruise, there's no Temporal Trespass. Honestly, I don't even know if Pieces of the Puzzle is legal in this format. Is that a thing? I legitimately have no idea whether this card's even legal in this format. It's not. It's actually not a thing. So yeah, straight up no Phoenix deck. We've got all 4 copies of Mystical Dispute here. We've got 4 Witness Protection. And then our little tech card here is going to be 2 copies of Orvar, the All Form. And this is a card that has actually been a pretty savage blowout against all the things Croxa and Liliana related. So what happens is they go ahead, they cast one of their black cards, and you have to discard a card, right? But you discard the Orvar instead of a card that you actually care about. So the Orvar will come into play for free because they made you discard it. And you immediately get a token of whatever you want. I even got to post a sweet clip on TikTok just the other day where Orvar actually turned into a 2nd copy of Faceless Haven on the table, and we definitely got to spank our opponent because of that. So that was really sweet. And I'll post a link to that as well. There we go. And the other cool thing about Orvar specifically is that if your opponent is playing something along the lines of Graveyard Trespasser, which has Ward of Discard a card, that does count. So a cool trick to do is you use your Shacklegeist whenever you feel like it. You tap 2 of your creatures to tap down their Graveyard Trespasser. Normally, discarding a card from the hand is a pretty hefty cost for tapping down their Trespasser. But you have Orvar, so you can discard that and instead it'll become whatever you want it to be. One of the cooler things that I've gotten to do that I hope I get to do again today is my opponent played a removal spell on, I think, a Supreme Phantom. And instead of using my Slip Out the Back or a Lofty Denial or anything like that, I didn't even have to use a whole card. What I did was tap 2 of my creatures to tap down the Graveyard Trespasser in response to the removal spell, and I got to copy a Rattle Chains. So that was super sick. And that's that kind of cool stuff I like doing with this deck because, you just want to really just do the most cool disruptive stuff possible. So we're going to play 2 or 3 matches here of best of 3 real quick. And after that, we're going to move on to Bant Spirits so that we can go ahead and start playing that as well. So I'm really excited to see really how both of these decks perform today. And I've got a lot to say about Bant because it's not a deck that I've been playing for a pretty long time. So I'm hoping to have a lot of fun with that. while we wait for our match, how's everybody doing on this lovely Thursday? Is everybody in fact playing spirits in either Pioneer or Explorer? Are you guys playing other things like maybe Rakdos midrange? What is happening in everybody else's world of Magic today? Raudhan? I guess that's how I pronounce that. And this hand is okay. Like, my opponent's taking a mulligan, so it is a little more attractive than normal, but being on the draw without a 1-drop currently isn't necessarily where I want to be in life, but oh, these are cool. Against Celestia or something. So this is probably just like some humans list. And another land is definitely not what I wanted. So let's end the turn. So yeah, so this is Werewolf Pack Leader, you got it. So being on the draw against these decks is not exactly where I like to be in life, but it's what we got going on. So let's untap, draw a Spectral Sailor, which actually isn't even that bad. So I think what I want to do is flash in a Spectral Sailor and feint a block. I'm not actually going to block either of these with this. I'm instead just going to let that happen. The reason I'm doing this is because in main phase 2, they have 2 regular white lands. So if they play either a Brutal Cathar or a Skyclave Apparition to try to get rid of this, nope, they play a Thalia. Damn it. Gross. I really don't want to fight a Thalia here. Yeah, alright. So I'm still going to use it as a pump spell then. Because next turn, what's going to happen is I still want to cast my Curious Obsession, I believe. God, how do I get out of this? So I think I have to cast this anyway. And if I draw a Mausoleum Wanderer, then I can cast that and be relatively okay with that. Um, it is important that they shock twice, so they're only down to 13. Come on. But being on the draw against this is just not where I want to be in life. Like, now they have access to Collect the Company. Well, no, they don't. They have to have 5 lands, Castalia, never mind. Oh, they're just going to use all their mana to pump. So that's 5-9, and I go to 4. Yikes. And a Lofty Denial is very late, unfortunately. So how do I deal with this? I think I might actually just have to let this Curious Obsession die and then feint a block with this. I think that's what I have to do here. So I'm sad, but it's what it is. So they're going to get to draw another card. That means that this could be a Coco as well. Yikes. Okay. So I am going to animate my Faceless Haven anyway, and I'm going to attempt to block the Thalia with that and the Bodyguard with this. So let's try this, and... oh, crap. What am I doing? Oops. Oh, they didn't do it. They didn't do it. I should have died. I forgot this had a pump. I just straight up forgot. Extraction Specialist. All right, well, that's enough of that. So let's go ahead and be on the play for this next game. Against them, I guess I really only want Witness Protection, not the Aether Gust. I don't particularly want 2-mana counterspells even on the play. And I'll cut one of these. So I still have some protective spells against things like Brutal Cathar or Skyclave Apparition. I still have 1-mana counterspells, hopefully, in the Geistlight Snare. And the reason I don't mind cutting a combat research is because, remember, Witness Protection is an enchantment. So, oh, well, that's pretty much perfect. So, since my Witness Protections are also enchantments, I'm a lot more likely to have access to this Geistlight Snare. So I'm going to be able to do this and just start attacking here. And if they cast a Thalia, I'll be very happy to just Geistlight Snare and move along with my life. That is also something I don't necessarily mind counterspelling. Get out of my face. So it's certainly not the most disruptive thing they could be doing by any means, but it's not really a card I want to be looking at. So I'll do this, and now I have access to one more flash play. which I don't really care about the fact that the Spectral Sailor is still in my hand for this turn. General Kudro is fine. So it's a 3/3. They're going to get to exile something out of my graveyard, but that's kind of whatever, because I don't use my graveyard. So now let's just play this Spectral Sailor, untap, and kind of continue. I'm going to just attack with all. We're currently winning this race, so I don't mind continuing that. Well, I don't really want to be drawing islands, but other than the fact that we are just drawing lots of lands here, I still don't really mind what's happening here. Thalia's Lieutenant. I can't currently do much about that, so I think what I want to do is trade my Faceless Haven for this General Kudro. So that gets a Lord off the table. It makes their clock infinitely slower. And the only real cost here... Oh, well, never mind. I was going to say the only real cost there was that my... Yeah, get wrecked. Is that my clock is potentially slower, but then we just immediately drew a Supreme Phantom, so never mind. So let's go ahead and try for a game 3 here. So being on the draw is going to be annoying, but that's the life you live when you play against these aggro decks. So I'm hoping for another draw similar to that. Shacklegeist is not bad. And I don't even hate having the access to the 1-drop here, so... Oh, well, now I really don't hate it. So outside of what? Exactly Thalia happening again here? What do you do? Pro Werewolves, humans have tap to add mana. Okay. So that's not even bad for me, though, because I can just, like, do this again, and hold up Geistlight Snare once more. So this is relatively lit. So the thing that I do want to make sure I know about for later is because Faceless Haven counts as all creature types, this will have protection from my Faceless Haven. So that is something I need to be aware of. Let's go ahead and just attack. So if they cast like a Coco, I have Geistlight Snare, and I'm pretty happy about that. I don't know what other responses they could have, but I don't know, I can play around stuff. Okay, so it looks like the answer is actually just nothing other than an end of turn Coco, which, oh, well, that's really not going to happen now. Okay, yeah, your move. Absolutely not, opponent. So they can try again, but I do have another Geistlight Snare, which is nice. I kind of want them to try something akin to like a Brutal Cathar or something so that I can use my Rattle Chains effectively. Hell yeah. Thank you, opponent. So that's relatively lit. So they will get to resolve some kind of 2-drop here, but like, that's fine. And, well, that's even better. So I want to now just take them down 6 more points, go to 8. Since I'm still at 20, and as long as I continue playing spells here, I don't mind... Oh, come on. I don't mind if they decide to, like, not play a spell at all for the sake of trying to flip this, because I can just EOT Shacklegeist then. Adeline actually doesn't matter. I would rather flash in my Shacklegeist instead of pretending that I care about that. So you can have that. I'm still at 20. And I'm going to go ahead and just, like, tap down this Brutal Cathar using this. So if they have exactly what? A Portable Hole for 1 mana? Realm Walker doesn't matter either. Sick. And they're dead. Sweet. You know, as the kids say, just like we drew it up. So that was kind of awesome. Don't get me wrong, the humans matchup is relatively hard, but sometimes you just like get the good stuff and your plan is just good, and every now and then they'll dirtle and you get to punish them for it. So like that one turn where they just like did nothing other than hold up Coco mana, that worked out really well for us since we had the 1 mana counter spell, and their next few turns were relatively irrelevant after that, which was super sick. But that's also why I think I'm a lot more scared of these the mono white lists than the Collected Company lists. Because like Collected Company sucks against Mausoleum Wanderer anyway. But the mono white lists all have like 14 1-drops, so it's just so impossible to avoid the perfect curve of 1-drop, 2-drop, and then either 3-drop or 2-drop plus 1-drop. But if you're playing with these Collected Company lists, it's a lot more possible to not have to deal with that. This isn't bad either. Oh, I'm on to play. I didn't even realize. Okay, never mind. Now it's great. Hmm. Man, everybody has such cool looking sleeves. I want to let them kill my Spectral Sailor? Yeah, that's fine. So if they shock and it's just like a fatal push, that's kind of whatever. I can resolve my Shacklegeist. And yeah, that's fine. And I think that's better than potentially wasting the turn one here. Oh, come on. So bad things that can happen. I can currently be walking myself into a copy of Bone Crusher Giant. If that happens, then this hand absolutely blows. Or just another fatal push. That's fine. Okay. So we're trying again. So now if they just like cast a Kiki Jiki here, I don't mind like Spectral Sailor, untap, do this, hope to draw something sweet. A Croxa. That's fine. I've got an extra island. So I will take the 3 here. And I'm really just hoping that this last land isn't a third fatal push. If it is, then, you know, sucks to be me. But if it's not, alright, sick. So let's draw a counterspell now. We could also just not. This is, not. This ain't it, y'all. Okay, so there's the Kiki Jiki I mentioned before, which was fine to... Bruh. Yeah, alright. Let's attack. God, come on. Alright, well, that actually is okay. Jesus. Magic, why are you like this? So they're going to have 5 out of the 6 cards necessary for Croxa to do the thing. A removal spell sucks. Resolves. Okay, so that's actually kind of funny. So they're going to get to resolve the Croxa, which is annoying. I'm not going to activate my Faceless Haven. No, I'm not. I'm just going to let that slide. You can have that. So this opens me up to the possibility of being able to just like Otawara the Croxa. Ooh, 3 mana held up. And that's very clearly like a removal spell, right? Like that's, and they know my hand. So I'm just going to draw a card. Like I can't dodge anything because they have perfect information. So I'm just not even going to pretend to play around anything. Like, yeah. There was never any universe in which I could do anything about that. Especially if it's another island. Magic, why are you like this? All right. Let's do this. Let's get an attack in. Oh, they just have another. Okay. I've got 4 lands in my hand. I'm just gonna move to the next game. Like, that was not great. So we're gonna put in these cards that I don't particularly want. Include what? I don't really want these. Like, Shacklegeist is not bad here, but it's also not great. Putting in Orvar in Unlicensed Source is just, like, a lot better, especially since we straight up saw the Croxa in Game 1. So I think this is going to end up working out a lot better as far as a plan for Games 2 and potentially 3. But, man, that was rough. That was a lot of lands. But, I don't know. It's fine. Like, sometimes you will just kind of sputter out like that. And in the first game there, like, we did have the option of letting ourselves untap with our mana, right? And if opponent decides to go ahead and Bone Crusher Giant Stomp there, then I think, you know, we could have activated in response to the stomp by just not drawing at end of turn. And I'm on the play. So I will keep this. I will play Mausoleum Wanderer, and I will pop this in response to a Thoughtseize. And if they kill this, I think I'm actually okay with that because, like, I still have 2 other creatures that I want to use the Curious Obsession on. I really want to use this as a protection spell for this. Oh, well, unless they just do that. Well, so now, I think I'm just gonna... Oh, shit. Well, alright. I guess we just get everything. That plays. I was gonna say, I would rather use the Mausoleum Wanderer as a protection spell to protect the Spectral Sailor, but if we're just gonna, like, do this, then shit, by all means, right? if they play a Kroxa, I'm not going to use a counterspell on it. I'm just going to discard a Spectral Sailor and then play the other. But if they do almost anything else, I don't mind the idea of just like untapping here. So what's this? A Fry. Well, I am a liar face about countering things, so let's just play our Spectral Sailor anyway. Yep, it's fried. Shacklegeist is not bad. So let's go ahead and get an attack in, and I can hold up Spectral Sailor plus Counterspell. I don't mind that. So what is this? It's a nothing. I don't mind it if my opponent wants to do nothing. So let's see. If they cast like a giant or even like a Fatal Push, I'll actually use one of my Guide Slide Snares on that. Yeah. So just make them use more and more resources. Like, no, I don't enjoy the Bone Crusher Giant hitting the table, but like, not quite the end of the world here. And if they just like play the Bone Crusher Giant and then do nothing else, I actually don't think I'll use a counterspell on that. Because like a 4-mana Ground Pounder is a threat, but I don't think it's the most important one. Kalitas, however, you need to get the fuck out my face. Hey, how you doing? Let's go ahead and get an attack in. So you go to 13, I do this, pass the turn. And once again, they're working with perfect information, so like, I can't really... Trespasser is obnoxious, but okay. You got it. Arena's terrible. Honestly, for the most part, you're not wrong. But I do like the fact that Explorer is at least slightly relevant. Let's draw a slip out the back. No, but that's not bad. Well, now it is, but... So, here's that. Let's attack for 3. And I'm keeping this in my hand because I want my opponent to try playing like a Kroxa or a Thoughtseize or something. So, if they want to do that, then I don't necessarily mind. Another Trespasser is pretty obnoxious. So now they have a real clock. I was doing mono red with Roiling Vortex and not seeing any mono white. Then I switched to Dimir Spirits in my... I'm sorry, Dimir Artifacts in my first opponent's mono white. Yikes. You hate to see it. So here, I don't even necessarily mind this. I can bounce one of these Graveyard Gluttons. Duress resolves. Sick. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and slow down their clock by a whole turn. Let's do that. So now they will get to take 2 cards out of here, but I don't have any more creatures. They can drain their own Kalitas if they want to. Okay. So there's a Trespasser again. You got it. They can exile more cards out of my graveyard, but I don't really care about that. Oh my god. All right. Well, 6. I need another Supreme Phantom to win this game. That I don't care about. They can take me down to 1. Hopefully the card in hand is not another Bone Crusher Giant. Right? There's no creatures anywhere, right? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go to 1, and a Supreme Phantom gets us to game 3. So fingers crossed that's what we can draw. Damn it, another land. All right, that sucks. Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, Arena is certainly not my favorite by any means, but I don't think it's the worst. Also relevant because this is where, like, you know, all the big relevant tournaments are, right? Like, this is where the Mythic Championships are, or whatever they're calling them now. This is where a lot of the cash tournaments on things like MTG Melee are, if you're playing any Standard, Explorer, Historic, even Alchemy. So I don't like this anywhere near as much as Magic Online, but I don't necessarily hate it either. I don't know, it could be worse. It could be a lot worse. But what's actually the second half of the plan for today is we're going to be playing some Bant Spirits on Magic Online later. This is fine. Opponent goes first as a Yorion deck too, so I'm fairly likely to make a lot of use out of this slip out the back. Fetid pools, okay. So what are things I don't want to see? I don't want to see Trial of Ambition, the black one that makes me sacrifice a creature. I don't really mind if they just Thought Seize, that's fine. I have Slip and Rattle Chains for protection spells. I have 2 drops that I actually want to play. Yeah, this is fine. So realistically, since I have 2 protection spells, they should probably take my Supreme Phantom. Um, but they could also take one of these and try to wear me out of removal or wear me out of protection. They will take the Supreme Phantom. Okay. And it's a Godless Shrine. You got it. So I'm going to go ahead and hold up my Rattle Chain / Shacklegeist, and then next turn what I can do is play Mausoleum Wanderer land plus X, and I don't hate that. So let's see what this is. Spirited Companion, okay. So we're going full Blink mode. Oh, Spirited Companion. I need to watch out for the card Doom Foretold. So in order to make sure I'm not getting Doom Foretolded here, I'm actually just going to play my Rattle Chains. So if they want to Fatal Push my Mausoleum Wanderer in response to that, then whatever. But I'm going to give myself the chance to start with more permanents than they have by the time they start doing cool shit. And if they try to kill this with a Fatal Push, I'll protect it with my Wanderer. Okay. And it's not another Fatal Push. Actually, this isn't bad. I'm going to just attack regularly. And here, if they want to cast like a Supreme Verdict or something, I don't mind just having like a slip out the back, protect this, and then kind of proceed from there. I play Arena because it's free. Clink to Dust, whatever, you can have that. I play Arena because it's free to play. I don't have a paper collection, but it has lots of problems and needs to fix them. I think the economy for Arena, like, obviously I won't be the only one saying this anywhere, is absolute dog shit. Like, the fact that this system doesn't even have any kind of like dusting or crafting system, like every other game, right? Like Runeterra has one, Hearthstone has one. Really, it's everybody but us. And I don't know, it just feels almost like they so actively try to not care about the players who are playing this game on like a somewhat regular basis that it's just like, is this really what I want to be doing with my time a lot of the time? And don't get me wrong, like I have a lot of fun playing Magic, but the fact that the system for this is relatively dry, um, I'm just gonna do this and deal you 12. So they can go to 2 here. Yeah, this is whatever. All right, go to 2. Go. I technically have a paper collection that's kind of big, but it's all bulk and nothing good to make a deck out of. So that actually is a thing that I've heard from quite a few people where, it's like I just have a shit ton of cards from the last time I bought a box or whatever. And one of the more common solutions for people is just to like hit up one of your that place is to like hit up one of your local gaming stores in LGS and uh do I literally just make no changes? I think I make 0 changes. No, that's false. I will make exactly 1 change. I'll take out the 2 lofties for 2 mystical disputes, and everything else is literally staying the exact same against this deck. Um, but anyway, back to the point. So a lot of people will go to their local gaming stores because a lot of game stores will buy bulk, even commons and uncommons. If you have them like literally by the thousands, which I'm sure a lot of people do, you can sell them to stores after you pick out all the cards like the commons and uncommons that you do want, and a lot of them will buy commons, uncommons, bulk rares, so that you can like clear space in your place or whatever, or even get some store credit towards cards that you might actually want. Like, I've heard of people, oh, this isn't bad. I've heard of people doing that fairly often, and it seems to work for those who actually do have a good time. Just like opening packs, buying boxes, collecting cards, stuff of that nature. So maybe ask your local gaming store if that is something that you care to even like investigate or do in the first place. Maybe that's an option available to you. Um, what up? Hamid? Is that how I would say your name? Hamid? Which pronunciation should I be using? But anyway, say I agree. Arena has its problems. It feels like it's only worth it if you have been playing from beta era up until now. That's actually a pretty good point too. I'm going to jam the Shacklegeist so that I can hide my rattle chains. And then, of course, next turn, if this goes unmolested somehow, I can combat research and protect it. Ooh. Well, I'm going to try it. So this way, if this resolves, I have both Geistlight Snare and Mystical Dispute for 1 mana. And it looks like that is going to happen, so hooray for me. Hiya. Sideways. Omen of the Sea. Don't care. I have almost 3,000 bulk cards. Yeah, for sure. In that case, I think what I would do is if you have the time and you care to, then sort all of those cards into like commons, uncommons, and rares. Because almost every single store that exists will buy bulk rares. But I would also ask specifically about commons and uncommons. I'm gonna actually use a Geistlight Snare on this because this deck plays Yorion. Leaving this on the table is a little dangerous for later, and I don't want to use all of my mana for Rattle Chains and then accidentally walk myself into a Mystical Dispute. So here, I'm gonna attack first. So the reason I want to attack first and not play Supreme Phantom here, oh, well, okay, fine. But I was trying to play around Supreme Verdict. So if I play Supreme Verdict, I'm sorry, if I play Supreme Phantom, attack for 2, have my 2 mana up, but then they cast Supreme Verdict, then I don't get to have any creatures left over. Now I can slip out the back, and that's kind of whatever, but let's pretend I didn't draw this, right? As it stands, they can still Supreme Verdict to get rid of my Shacklegeist, and that's whatever. But I would have been able to end of turn Rattle Chains and then Supreme Phantom untap, and I still have a good clock going with my 2 counter spells rather than just kind of being SOL if I played a Supreme Phantom. So that's why we did that. How's Pioneer Light treating you today? Pioneer Light is once again not the worst. So Spectral Sailor makes this instant speed hand even better. I'm gonna just keep swinging for 2 here. And actually, the Spectral Sailor is actively good, because even if I don't draw land here, that's fine. Then I can still go Spectral Sailor, Protect, plus backup. Omen of the Sun, I don't care. You can have that. So the gaining 2 life part technically takes a turn off my clock here, but remember I'm going to be playing this at the end of turn anyway. So I'm still relatively okay with what's happening here. Thoughtseize. You got it. You can lose 2 life and check out my honestly really awesome hand. But Pioneer Light isn't that bad. Like, I am having a pretty decent amount of fun here just going with obviously mono blue. And speaking of this being Pioneer Light, we're going to be playing some actual Pioneer after this because the Mana Traders matches start today. And I've got a Bant list drawn up for that. Alright. So we are now 2-1 on the day with mono blue here. We beat green-white humans round 1, and we lost to Rakdos mid-range in the second round. Hey, random booster pack. Let's open it. And that gets me a rare wild card too. Run it. More rares? Temporary lockdown. Oh, this is actually important because like I ended up talking about this a little bit. Matter of fact, with Dwight, since you're calling it Pioneer Light, I assume that's where you got the phrasing from. And Temporary Lockdown is one of the cards that I think has the potential to be pretty important in decks like Blue-White Control, where you exile each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less until this thing goes away. So to play around this, what I've been wanting to do is to play around with like 1 or 2 copies of Brazen Borrower to bounce this. But so far, it looks like a lot of the blue-white lists are still playing just like Portable Hole in the main. So it could be that Temporary Lockdown is just one of those sideboard cards for them. You know, you play like 3 Supreme Verdicts and then like 3 of these in the board so that you have 6 sweepers. And then you take out the Portable Holes in the matchups where you want this. Like that could very well be a thing they're doing. I don't know yet. But this is a card that I was really considering when making my deck building choices. And at least for the first couple of weeks here, while people were like playing Liliana in everything, I wanted to hedge against blue-white, which is probably going to be people's answers, to the Liliana decks. So that was kind of like my rock paper scissors. I'm sorry, rock paper scissors decision making there. So that's why we did that. My main problem was Arena's matchmaking, because in paper, your opponents and whatever the deck they have is always random, not the perfect counter. Arena, you find a perfect counter to your deck on a regular basis and far more times than a random opponent. Um, that, yeah, I think that's not, like, I hear what you're saying, because a lot of people are thinking that Arena is okay, I found the words I'm looking for. A lot of people tend to think that Arena has some weird algorithm thing where it pairs you up specifically against different decks on purpose. And I have heard a theory that Arena pairs you up in a mirror match more often than usual. I think neither of those things are true for Arena. What I think happens with Arena, and this is true for Magic Online a lot of times as well, is that Explorer just happens to have a very small metagame because only a few decks are really good. Like, you already have the Pioneer decks that are good, but not all of the Pioneer decks translate to Explorer. So you don't get to have like the wide open metagame that Pioneer currently has. Instead, you just have all of the best decks from Pioneer, which is why Chris called it Pioneer Light, and you're trying to use those. But since there's fewer options, you simply face your bad matchups more often. Upside, you also face your good matchups more often. Like, I play against a lot of blue, white, and Esper type control decks, but I also play against a lot of Rakdos because, like, just that's how the metagame works when it is just a smaller metagame. Like, previously, matter of fact, let's go ahead and pull this up. So what I'm doing now is just going right over to MTG Goldfish and uh pulling up Pioneer. Here we go. So Pioneer. Over here, we've got like Rakdos midrange at like 15.4%. We've got blue-white control. And we see that these top two decks are, of course, the second matchup we played and the third matchup we played. So, and oh, here we go, mono-white humans. It's not the green-white list that we played, but we played against 3 out of the top 4 decks in Explorer. But in Pioneer, you have the ability to play against these, of course. Greasefang does exist in Pioneer. Phoenix does not exist. Heroic is a thing that does exist, but because the format is smaller, we can go over to Explorer now. Oh, what is this? Oh, there's no tournaments for Explorer, so you don't actually see what happens. Oh, that's kind of gross. Okay. Uh, that makes sense. There's no tournaments to report, so I don't have any tournament data for Explorer. Great. But I'll finish the point here. Like, mono white humans is technically a thing that exists, but this is not a card that you can play on Arena, I believe. Like, I don't think Brave the Elements exists. Getting an Ally of Zendikar doesn't exist. Like, you can't play Kithian, for example, doesn't exist. Like, Origins is not on there. Soldier to Pantheon is not a card on there. So you're just like not able to play this deck because it doesn't exist in the same capacity. Oh yeah, Mutavault is not on there. So like you just can't play the mono white humans deck. Phoenix doesn't exist. Bant Spirits does not exist on Explorer because there is no Selfless Spirit or Spell Queller. And the ramp decks are not the same at all because you don't have access to Nykthos itself. So instead, they're trying to play like 4 mana artifacts like Nyx Lotus that perform the same function. So, oh, Hidden Strings is also not a thing because you don't have the untapping effects. So you just don't play against the wide open metagame anywhere near as often because a lot of these decks just don't exist. So you play against your really bad matchups so much more often that the format kind of feels inbred. So you'll feel like you'll play a lot of this, you'll play a lot of this, you'll play a lot of this, but you won't play against this ever, this ever, this ever, this ever. And that means you face the things that you really don't want to see a lot more often than you would in regular Pioneer. So I think that's why you have that feeling that you're playing against your bad matchups more often. Even if it is true that you're playing your good matchups more often as well, you just remember the bad beats, which kind of sucks. Um, Arena has that fun aspect where you run up against either your mirror or something that. Oh yeah, we just went over that. So used to play modern fishies, and having a board was generally more important than any particular one creature, with Spirits and Collect the Company to slip out the back, beat out March of the Swirling Mist. So I for Pioneer, for my paper Pioneer deck, where here it is. Let me go grab it. Literally in arm's reach. Nice. So that's actually really funny that you mentioned March of the Swirling Mist because of the fact that this is a deck that I'm building for paper. So I expect to see decks like Blue White Control a lot more often in paper than I would on Pioneer. So for that reason, I've actually got like 4 Mystical Disputes in my paper sideboard. I've got 3 Witness Protections in my paper sideboard. Let's see, 3 Disdainful Strokes again, because like there's just going to be a lot more mono green. But because we're playing paper, that's where the similarities kind of stop here. What I'm doing that's different is I'm actually playing 2 negates, like straight up negate. I'm playing 1 Narcissist Reversal because Phoenix is very popular with paper players at RCQs, 1 Unlicensed Hearse for the same reason, and I am in fact playing 1 copy of March of the Swirling Mist. So I have like an additional out to in my sideboard to dealing with Supreme Verdict because decks like Blue White and Izzet Phoenix tend to be a lot more popular on paper than they are online. Which makes sense when you start getting out to the RCQ levels because a lot of the people who play in RCQs really tend to, or this is really just like higher level paper magic as a whole. A lot of people simply tend to play decks that make people feel like they have more decisions. So in paper magic, more so than online, where you can just like play mono green and you go, okay, for Forest go Burr, right? People tend to play a lot of things like the Rakdos mid-range decks where you have game against everything. People tend to play a lot of Phoenix that just feels powerful and plays the best cards like Treasure Cruise and stuff. People tend to play things like Blue-White Control because these are decks that make people feel like they're participating a lot more. Online, people are just like, fuck it, I'll just play whatever the best, most powerful thing is. And that happens. I still see Bant Spirits and Explorers. Yikes. It's the first match I lost when I got into Diamond. Runs Birds, Lord Spirit, Skyclave, and Coco. Yeah, like the deck can technically exist. And I think I have a historic list up for it. No, I must have taken it down. But like Skyclave Apparition exists, Imperial Eagle exists, and my go-to as a selfless spirit thing was Linvala, Shield of Seagate. Legendary Amy. Hey, what up? What up? Look at this dude. Yeah, complete with like 7 hairs. So let's see. Oh, do I just not type the word shield? Let's historic. There she is. So like this is what I remember when you had hair. You're not wrong. Oh, you know what? That's actually really funny that you mentioned that. So for everybody who's watching and obviously knows me just from Magic, I used to have an afro when I was a teenager, and that like an actual afro. It was like 8 inches or something like that at its peak. It was really crazy, and I don't miss having that much hair at all. So I'm kind of glad to be mostly bald now. But yeah, the Limvala is what I've been playing in Historic Spirits because this gets around Supreme Verdict effects the exact same as Selfish Spirit does. And of course, being a 3/3 body on its own isn't bad. So if you wanted to, I'm gonna have to catch the rest of this later as recording to get back to re-listening to lectures from my glasses. All right, cool. Well, Chris, enjoy when you do watch and have a great rest of your day. Hope you don't get too bored and fall asleep. I feel like that much hair would weigh a lot. No, no. See, I have the upside of being, well, you can see me. Like I'm half black and half Puerto Rican. So like my hair, even though there was a lot of it, honestly didn't weigh that much because it's just like light curly hair. It's almost it was almost like the consistency of like beard hair, if you will. So even though there was quite a bit of it, it still just like doesn't weigh a lot because that's just the consistency of hair. Like if I were white and had that much hair, holy Jesus, I would not enjoy that at all because like, it just mats down and it doesn't have the same consistency. It doesn't have like the same springiness to it. So like having a lot of hair without my hair type sounds absolutely terrible to me. Obviously, there's a lot of people who like having long hair, but if I had that consistency of hair, I would have fucking hated it. I would have gone bald at like 16 if I had that, like straight up, knowing my personality. I wouldn't even have tried to keep it. And sorry, Automod. Oh, I don't even know what you said. So if you can, whatever you said, if you want to, I guess, type it so that the robots don't catch you, then let's, matter of fact, I can, this tab. Let's see what you said. But that's actually really funny though, because yeah, the hair was uh it was amusing. That's I think that's gonna be the best way I phrase that. It was definitely amusing. Uh okay, so it won't show me what's even that gets auto modded. Oh, yeah, because like magic is oh, that's fine. But yeah, no, a lot of people will come in here and be like 13 or 14 years old. So I do have relatively strict auto mod options on. Um, we doing Explorer today? Yeah, we're actually gonna play one more match of Explorer. We just played three before. We played against green white humans, which we ended up beating. We lost to Rakdos mid range, and we beat Esper Control. So we're going to play exactly one more match of this, and then we're going to slide over to the full version of Pioneer on Magic Online so that we can start playing Bant Spirits in the Mana Traders matches. So that'll be really exciting. Simply because I haven't played Bant in a pretty freaking long time. So I'll be excited to just like jam some collected companies. Hopefully they actually hit for me this time, right? Because a lot of the times collected companies don't really treat me too well. Be right back. Okay, Amy? And this hand is not so bad. So obviously my turn one's a little bit sparse, but I am playing against Gigantha, which means this could be heroic. This could be uh oh, sacrifice. That is annoying, but I am glad that my card happens to be Supreme Phantom. Shacklegeist. Alright. How do I want to start this then? This deck doesn't play any copies of Bone Crusher Giant, so like I don't have to worry about that, but they can, of course, just like play red land, claim the firstborn this, and then like whack something with it. So like that's a thing. There's the red land. There's the witch's oven. Is there also a claim to firstborn? Well, can't block that. So you got me there. Are you? Oh. Okay. So they don't play any instant speed red removal. Um. So I think I am just going to attack and counter a Mayhem Devil on the way down. I like that. So if they cast Mayhem Devil, I'm just going to use a Geistlight Snare here. They can do their stupid little cat loop. That's whatever. And if I draw a blue land next turn, then I can resolve my Curious Obsession and hold up either Counterspell or Slip Out the Back. I like that better than trying to get aggressive with either card here, because this completely protects me from both a Claim to Firstborn turn, because I have Slip Out the Back to protect this, and from casting Mayhem Devil, because I have these. So, yeah. Currently, we lit. I do need another land, preferably an island, so that we can start doing the thing that is absolutely not happening. How much does this deck change from Explorer to Pioneer? It's a deck I've been looking to play at my LGS. Okay, so this deck specifically can be played card for card. Like, every single card that exists for Mono Blue Spirits also exists on Arena. Like, there is no such thing as like having to take any considerations for damn it. Well, that's gonna suck. Shit. Now what? Okay. So that means no hit Mayhem Devil, which is nice. Deadly Dispute. Okay. Now, did they find a claim to firstborn? Please say no. Stop looking at my shit. Oh, come on. All right, fine. Ugh. Jesus. A third land would have been so good. And, like, I understand that I could have just, like, waited one more turn here, but, like, how else am I winning the game? So this might just be one of those 2 in 2 days. Thanks, deck. Thanks. You're a great help. Jerk. I'm so mad right now. All right. Go ahead, opponent. But yeah, no, I think Mono Blue's really sweet. Also, if you want to look at the specific list that we're playing today too, what you can do is hit exclamation mark deck, and it doesn't matter whether you're on YouTube or Twitch. If you hit exclamation mark, oh my fucking god, they had a treasure. I am so bad today. All right. Yeah, that felt terrible. Let's do this, and do I really want Aether Gust? I kind of want Aether Gust more than these. Um, where's... Oh, they're already in here. I'll keep in one Shacklegeist. What did I just put in? A Dispute. Okay, where's Shacklegeist? Here it is. That's better. Same thing happened to me earlier. Yeah, like, it's not like the end of the world or anything. Like, and it's not like we've lost a match either. Like, we still have two more games to play, and I'm on the play here, which is nice. Sand is okay. It's not good, but it's okay. I do like the fact that I have like rattle chains end the turn, starting next turn, and then untap, hold up Geist Light Snare or Supreme Phantom. So like that's not bad. Epicure, I don't really care. Um, Another rattle chains. So what happens here? I can just pass the turn. Like it is annoying when you simply like know what you need to do and just don't draw the thing to get you there. Like that is obnoxious when it happens. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of what it is. Like, can't just win everything. So let's play our rattle chains here. If this is a fatal push, then whatever opponent you got me. But if it's not, then at least we can start attacking and hope to try to keep up here. And it looks like it is a fatal push. Yeah, it is. Okay. Haven't been feeling about the Lantern Bearer. I still have an older version of the deck with the Four Ascendant Spirit. Um, so far, I've actually been enjoying the Lantern Bearers because we have been coming up across a lot of ground pounders, right? Like in the round one, we came across the green white humans deck. You can have that. We came across green white humans. In round two, we played against Rakdos Midrange, which plays like Blood Tithe Harvesters and stuff. And currently, we're playing against this, which has a lot of blockers. So the fact that I actually should counter this, no. I think I actually have to let that resolve and simply hope that my plan ends up being slightly better than theirs. So let's see if one of their last two cards is a push. It is not a push. That's good for us. A slip out the back is very helpful, actually. So now that I've got the Supreme Phantoms, I think I'm actually okay. Yeah, you can do that all day, opponent. Like, I'm not a big fan of this, but like, it is still relatively okay as far as plans go. Like I'm still at 15. I have a counterspell for a Mayhem Devil, and I've got responses to removals. So if they try to like claim the firstborn me, then I don't mind having access to like, casting this and then using this. So yeah, all things considered, we're actually okay. Mies, what's up? What's up? Um, so another thing that I would say people like could definitely consider too is that I am gonna flash this and make them sacrifice the Epicure here because this still gives me a counter spell for the Mayhem Devil potentially, and if they try to claim the firstborn, I still have slip out the back. So I don't mind proactively making them use this so that they don't get village rights. That's whatever, you can have that. So I go down to 13 here. And if they tap all of their mana to do what? A fatal push. I will use my slip out the back there and hope that they don't have claim the firstborn for my rattle chains. If they have exactly land Mayhem Devil, then I'm pissed. Okay. Cool. Looks like we're not pissed. I can do a couple of things here. I can attack with Faceless Haven, but that doesn't really do anything since they can just like sacrifice this, bring it back, block with it, sacrifice with the other one. So instead, I'm just going to play the Supreme Phantom and start to at least apply a little bit of pressure on that life total. So they're going to take 7 here and effectively 5 because of this, but it's still a slightly reasonable clock. Now what? Okay, that's just a one time no Mayhem Devil, right? Like, I'm so sick of that card. And don't get me wrong, on this specific board, it'll be relatively hard for them to actually, like, machine gun my creatures down. But the fact that it can still happen doesn't exactly make me happy. What is that, a Deadly Dispute? Yeah. So you take 7, you go to 15. Maybe not. Okay. Stop looking at my stuff, opponent. So the fact that they have a red mana open and they're looking at my stuff, I think they might have drawn a Claim to Firstborn. But it's not an instant, so I'm hoping, obviously, that that's not what they have because they have 4 lands and this can't protect from 1 drop. Anything 2 or better, this is great. So I actually do hope they draw Mayhem Devils so that I can counter it. Yeah. Whew. All right. So now they can still claim the Firstborn here, and I'm not a biggest fan of that, but like, it's not full nothing, right? Aether Gust is actually not bad. So you go to 7. So now if they try to Mayhem Devil again, I don't mind using my Aether Gust. And if they go to, what is it, 8, 9, 10, 11, I'm currently doing 9, so I've got 2 turns to worry about here. That's not the worst. And if they attack with the cat, I can be a little bit more proactive with my Faceless Haven on blocking mode too. So that's not bad either. There we go. Get out of here with that Mayhem Devil, right? Like, I'm so sick of that fucking card. Oh yeah, so let's go ahead and go back to Ascendant Spirit, right? So specifically Ascendant Spirit, I think that's going to be one of those things that you can get away with playing a few of in actual Pioneer. But I think I would advise against it currently only because of the fact that, like, Llanowar Elf type things are so all over the place that... Go back on top. So here, if they cat loop currently, yeah, like, bruh, thanks, I hate it. All right, how annoying is this? Okay, so I don't have access to a lethal clock anymore, which really stinks. Um, okay. Is there any universe in which that's not it? So I can... That's 4. And this does protect from a pretty decent amount of potential spells. So this helps against Deadly Dispute and also just provides another clock of 9 damage, right? They're currently only able to, assuming they tap mana, go up to what? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm currently looking at 9 as far as a clock. Any spirit makes this Mausoleum Wanderer lethal. Um, oh, come on. I knew that was there. Um, yeah, alright. So I have to do this to block the Faceless Haven here, because if the cat gets through, then that's 4 points, right? Like, I can't go to 4 against this currently. So what is this last card? It is a Deadly Dispute. Okay. Um, so they can go up to 7. So another Supreme Phantom does it, unless this is a removal. A Blood Tithe Harvester. Okay. The 6/5? Yeah, yeah. 6/5 is pretty huge, but unfortunately irrelevant against this deck. So 4. Fuck. So close. Um, yeah, we're dead. That sucks. Hmm. Damn. Yeah, that's it. All right. Well, unfortunate. So yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. That's why I don't want to like invest mana into trying to attack through the Cauldron Familiar because there's just like no way to do that efficiently. That's why we also sided in the copies of uh unlicensed, duh, so that we could get rid of the cat and stop them from doing their stupid cat loops. And we didn't see the unlicensed hearse that we put in, so it's kind of whatever. But the best way to actually make them kind of play on hard mode is, of course, to be able to get rid of those. So what we're going to do here is switch over to Magic Online, and I'm going to take a little bit of a bio break while we do that. So I'll be back in, I don't know, like 4 or 5 minutes, something like that. And I'll come back with like some water and stuff. So if anybody here also needs to hydrate, here's your reminder: hydrate, don't dehydrate. And when I'm back, we'll be over in Magic Online. We'll talk about the Bant deck a little bit, and then we'll jump into some matches. So I will see y'all in not that long. All right, let's turn me the right way, I guess. That's pretty hilarious. There we go. That's pretty funny. So, now we are looking at Bant Spirits in Pioneer, and this is going to be an archetype I've been really looking forward to. But first, let's go ahead and address what's happening here. Problem with attacking is they sack the cat. Now it's a blocker again. We do know that. Yep. Like I said, that's why I didn't invest mana in trying to attack or even block with the Faceless Haven, because like the Witch's Oven makes that part of combat completely useless on the ground. Another reason why I wasn't so excited to continue playing with Ascended Spirit currently, it's not bad, obviously. Some games it'll just run away with completely, but I think in the current face of Explorer and by extension Pioneer, it's just not that great. But the hearse is good because it shuts down the cat oven and cheese fang. Cute phrasing. I do like cheese fang. And phasing out the cat when the ovens are tapped is sweet. That's a thing. So like, yeah, because you can cast your things like slip out the back, and if you play it, you can cast things like Spectral Adversary, phase it out for the turn, get your good attack in, or even Witness Protection to cat. It's not, well, no, that's pretty bad. Don't do that. Never mind. But the other options work totally fine. So now let's go ahead and talk about Bant a little bit. So here we've got Bant Spirits for Pioneer, and this is a deck that's really been running away with the format for a bit. We've got some Brazilian players like Remph and Artur who've been playing this deck to absolute freaking perfection. And there was a segment 3 weeks ago where I ended up playing Mono Blue in the Degenerate Gaming Open. I won that event. And then Remph and Artur each in the same weekend won the Saturday and Sunday Pioneer Challenges with Bant Spirits. And it's a list that's kind of akin to this. What we got is a 23 land list that is not playing any copies of a Darker Wastes, even though it is out in Magic Online now. Instead, I'm opting to play an Otawara, an Iganjo. I do still have one Mana Confluence in here, but everything else is just relatively light as far as any splashy stuff goes. I've got 4 of the green-white pathway, 4 of the blue-white pathway, and then 3 of the green-blue pathway. So this way you have a lot of untapped and unpained lands, and you have a decent amount of green sources too. You have, what is it, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So over half of your lands will produce green for the only card you're trying to make green for, Collected Company. Your Collected Companies have some really sweet hits with this deck too. Like you have access to Spell Quellers, Mausoleum Wanderers, and that's how you get out of dealing with spells. You have 2 copies of Lofty Denial as well here, and that's going to be something that a lot of Spirits players are playing in the sideboards for these lists instead of the main deck, and I do agree that I don't want 4. But I think 2 is going to be pretty good against a lot of decks. Caught a live stream? Yes, he did, Robot Wizard. What up? In the main deck here, we've got 3 Skyclave Apparitions and a 4th one here in the sideboard. Also, our 2-drops, honestly, the 2-drops are just really good, so we just don't need to change that from any version of the deck. We've got Supreme Phantoms, 4 Shacklegeist, 4 Rattle Chains, and then 2 copies of Spectral Sailor. In this list, if you want to play cards like Nebelcast Herald or additional Spectral Sailors, I think the thing that you want to cut would be the Lofty Denials first, but I'm going to play 2 of those because I think I want to deal with things like Kiki Jiki more effectively with counterspells rather than after they've already hit the table. Johnny seems gross here, and I agree. So this is going to be the coolest new toy, and honestly most of the reason I want to play Bant. So a Johnny Sleeper Agent, for anybody who hasn't read this before, is going to be a 4-mana Planeswalker, but it's Phyrexian green-white, so you can actually play it for 3 and then 2 life instead. But if you do that, then it comes in with Loyalty 2 instead of Loyalty 4. So there's your trade-off. Anyway, what a Johnny does. It comes in with 4 loyalty if you pay 4 for it. You +1 reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature or a planeswalker, you can put it into your hand. Otherwise, you can choose whether you want to put it on the bottom of your deck or not. So that's going to bring back reminiscence of like Domri Raid, the first one, where against the control decks and the mid-range decks, you just get to play this thing on turn 3 and just like plus, 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 plus. Since we have 31 creatures in our main deck, that means that we're going to be drawing cards a little more than half the time with a Johnny. So the pluses are just going to be really good. The -3 is distribute 3+1 counters among up to 3 target creatures, and they gain vigilance until end of turn. And that's also a pretty big deal. Obviously, the +1 counters are just big for establishing a clock anyway, right? Like if you have a Spectral Sailor and you give it 3 counters, it's a 4/4 that needs to be respected a lot more than a 1/1 does. But also, The fact that your creatures get vigilance is really helpful for when you're trying to play Magic with Shacklegeist, because normally with Shacklegeist, you have to choose between attacking or blocking, or attacking and tapping. But if you have a Johnny to give your creatures vigilance for the turn, then you don't need to choose at all. You get to attack, and you get to use Shacklegeist proactively. So that's going to live in the sideboard, though. The rest of the sideboard here, we've got Disdainful Stroke because we really just don't want to be on the receiving end of a good mono green hand. 4 copies of Portable Hold to complement our Skyclave Apparition, and that's going to be like our removal package. 2 Unlicensed Hearse because this is a format where Phoenix does exist. This is a format where you'll see a little bit more Greasefang because there's 3 versions of Greasefang in this format. You also have access to 3 Extraction Specialists, and this is another sweet new thing that the Brazilian players have really adopted, and so far I've seen a lot of success with. So Extraction Specialist, when it comes into play, you get a creature card with mana value 2 or less, so everything over here, back from your graveyard. And when you get to do that, you'll end up with 2 creatures and a lot of your creatures, since we have access to things like Mausoleum Wanderer, Shacklegeist, Rattlechain, Selfless Spirit. A lot of our cards have value without actually having to attack or block. So the fact that the creature that you get back with Extraction Specialist can't attack or block isn't really that relevant. You can just do your cool thing. So that's going to be the cards that we're playing in this deck. We're going to play out some matches on the Mana Trader series today. And the idea for the Mana Trader series is that to qualify for the Swiss rounds, you have to play 10 matches. Of those 10 matches, you need to win at least 7. After you play the 10 matches, assuming that you've qualified for the thing, you get to go ahead and then continue playing at least 20 matches total so that you can potentially win some cash on the leaderboard over the 2-week period or so that the qualifying matches go for. So that's going to be what we're doing today with the rest of our matches. And let's go ahead and address some questions before we start playing games. Do you think Bant Spirits does better in mono blue in the current Pioneer meta? I think because of decks like Mono White, that Bant is going to be the more powerful deck right now. Like, you actually have ways to deal with creatures like Adeline because you have Skyclave Apparition on top of your Shacklegeists. You have access to a lot of the same cards that Mono Blue does. Like, I'm playing Lofty Denial here just like I was in Mono Blue a little bit earlier. And you still have, like, Spell Queller, too, the hedge against spells. So I think this deck is probably the better of the versions of Spirits right now, even if it is not my favorite version of Spirits. I do also like the fact that it's just something different from what I've been doing for the last month, because I've been playing a lot of Mono Blue, and I certainly don't have anything against the Mono Blue deck. I would still play it in a big tournament if I really needed to, like, kind of hedge against a format and stuff. But I do acknowledge that Bant is the more powerful version of this deck. So I'm going to go ahead and play Bant for today. But thanks to combat research, I'm still really interested in playing as much mono blue as possible too. I don't know, I like both decks. Dope, I'm thinking about making the switch. Yeah, like, I think, honestly, like, both versions have their ups and downs, right? Like, mono blue is much, much better than Bant against spells, but Bant is much, much better than mono blue against permanents, because, like, with the mono blue deck, you know, you're playing Geistlight Snare for 1 versus Lofty Denial for 2. You're playing Slip Out the Back to protect against Rakdos. You're playing, like, Negates and Disdainful Strokes and Narset's Reversal out of the sideboard. Here, because you're trying to split your things amongst colors and adhere to the Collected Company bit where you just don't really want to reduce the number of creatures in your deck by too many, you're only allowed so many sideboard spots as a whole. But when this deck goes, it freaking goes. And the fact that you get to play Empyrean Eagle in this deck too just means that you have a lot more power and toughness than blue can really ever produce. So you're just kind of like attacking the same format from different angles. I don't even necessarily think that one is so much better than the other that the other is invalidated. I think it's really just kind of like pick what you want to beat when you play one of these versions. And today, I think we're going to see a lot more permanents than spells, so I'm playing Bant to hedge against that. Hey, hello, welcome. Let's see who that was. Oh, that reminds me. I did not put my alerts in here. That's why we didn't actually see who it was. Let's change that real quick. There we go. So, didn't get to see who that was, but hello and welcome. And now that we know what's going on here, what I'm going to do is jump right into some matches. And oh, we already have our first pairing. Sweet. So we're going in Pioneer, the tournament practice room, and I'm waiting for somebody named Modi Sapiris to pop up with my name. Oh, why am I sideways again? All right, let's. There we go. I enjoy that it keeps doing that. Tom Brady for president. Nice username. Just picked up mono blue spirits. Notice that the red black mid range is close. Do you have any sideboard suggestions for the matchup? So, what I've been doing only for this first couple of weeks, while everybody and their mom is still really hype about Liliana of the Veil, I've been playing two copies of Orvar, the all form, in my sideboard on Arena. And what that does, it's going to be a 4-drop 3/3 changeling, so it's got all creature types, including, of course, spirits. And when you discard Orvar, instead of actually getting discarded, it becomes a token of whatever you want on the battlefield, and that includes lands. So you'll end up getting to just like turn their discard outlet into your value. And it doesn't matter what they play that makes you discard as long as it makes you discard that card. So like Liliana's uptick counts, Croxa counts, a Thoughtseize if that's the only card in your hand counts, and Graveyard Trespasser counts. Like there's a lot of things that they can do to make you discard, so you get some value out of the Orvar against the mono black decks. I'm sorry, the mono black decks against the Rakdos decks, but also the other decks that want to play Liliana, right? Like you have your Greasefang variants, your blue black control decks, your Rakdos mid range decks. So all of those will give you the potential to kind of proc that for free, and then you just get to do some really cool stuff. The other thing I've been doing against Rakdos is going to be a oh, I'm waiting. My opponent is sending me a message. Are you coming? I don't see a match, dude. There. So I'm telling him, like, I'm in Pioneer. I don't see a match. Did they make their match accidentally in a different format? Uh, did you? I don't see my name. So let's see. Yeah, I'm searching for it. Wait, this month is standard? Oh crap, it is standard. Oh shoot. Oh my god. Okay, whoops. I need to build a standard deck. Okay, that is so unfortunate. I planned the entire day around playing Pioneer. Um, that is hilarious. So that's oh, I need to build a standard deck. That is so hilarious. Um, oh man, what a mess. Because like I don't really play that much standard, so I actually don't even know what people are playing in standard. That is so funny. Um, wow, that is hilarious. So what happened here, I definitely thought that this month was Pioneer again, and oh, that is such a mess. Okay, that's fine because I actually do have some idea of what I would choose to play in standard currently. So you know what? We can brew standard. That's fine. So, oh my god, that is such a hot mess. Jesus. Yeah, so what happened was I went to the Mana Traders website the other day, and I know it said Pioneer. So I thought I was playing around a second month in a row of Pioneer, which I had no problem with. But it looks like the format's gonna be standard. So yeah, let's all right. I mean, I assume mid range has got to be the best archetype, right? Like if you play like just like black white good cards, like that's got to be the wave in standard. So what's all in standard that's like either black white or Rakdos with Kiki Jiki? Let's check the format. So we'll look at the metagame. We're going to take it from only the last 7 days and slide over here. Well, and if anybody in here actually has a lot of experience playing standard, please let me know because I do have, I think, one or two standard decks built, But if I'm being completely honest, I don't play or even really want to play enough standard to actually know what's going on. Thanks for the Orvar tip, sweet tech for sure. Oh, of course, you're welcome. Um, Ooga book. I also like mono blue tempo. Are you talking about in Pioneer slash Explorer? Because that is actually what we played for the first half of our stream today. So if that's what we're talking about there, then by all means, I also like mono blue. Where's my standard deck? That's a best of one, just like Rafine and company. But if I'm being completely honest, I don't think I like this deck. So it's just like a mid-range deck. It's got some tenacious underdogs, Infernal Grasping cut down as removal. It's got Make Disappear and Obscura Interceptor for like counter spells. Oh, mono blue tempo in standard. Oh, okay. So I know there's a few things in standard deck count for like mono blue. Like you have access to Delver is in standard still. You have Lantern Bear as a one drop that can carry like combat research. You have the Haughty Jin, H-A-U-G-H-T-Y. Do I have any of those? No. Um, like this card looks like it's pretty good, where it's basically Crackling Drake for one less, but you don't draw a card when it comes into play. Instead, your instants and sorceries cost one less. It also doesn't count exiled cards, so it'll typically be a lot smaller, but it costs 1 and 2 blue instead of double red, double blue, so that's whatever. The card I like the most is this thing out of this archetype, where it's just like a 1 mana 5/5 sometimes if you've cast a bunch of instants and sorceries. I the only reason I don't want to play this deck is because like the counter spells are just like not that great. Like you have Spell Pierce, which is okay, Disdainful Stroke is okay, Essence Capture is okay, and then like the other good ones are what Essence Scatter, but you have Essence Capture, so you don't need to play Essence Scatter. And Make Disappear, which makes them pay 2 for stuff. Like I think those are all okay, but none of them are like holy shit, I definitely want to play this. You can play Geistlight Snare, but the list of low cost spirits in standard is not anywhere near, in my opinion, good enough to like make it so that you really, really want to be playing it. Oh, spirit, not spirits. So like you do have Lantern Bearer, which is a good 1 mana flyer that can carry combat research, but like I play 4 Delvers, 4 Drakes, and 4 Fairy Vandal. Fairy Vandal, however, is actually lit. So like this card is actively pretty good, but if I were to play it like a Delver deck, I think I would play it with um here it is, Electrostatic Infantry, so that you can actually have like just a big relevant threat that ends up being like a 7/8 at some point. But also you can play with like Ledger Shredder in the same deck too. So if you want to like go Ledger Shredder, Electrostatic Infantry, you can play cards like Consider and stuff. But like you actually get all the red removal too. Like you get Strangle, Play with Fire. Excuse me. Is there a 4 damage removal spell in red for 2 mana right now? Is that a thing that exists? I know a Braid is still in the format. Voltage Surge requires an artifact, but you have to play blood tokens to make that relevant. But is there a Lava Coil equivalent here? Like, I straight up don't know if that's a thing in standard right now or not. Uh, Stinger. I honestly don't think that's a thing that exists in this format right now. I think everything is 3 damage or less. Um, if I am wrong, please tell me the name of the spell I should be looking for. Spell you control deals damage, put counters on this thing. No, that's bad. Technically, you have one for the amount of cards in hand. Oh, yeah, I do know that card, and you can draw a card if you kick it for either 1 in a blue or 2 in a blue. I don't remember the card's name, but I have seen that before. So that can technically do like 5 or 6 mana for 2, or 5 or 6 damage for 2 mana, which is a pretty good rate, but your hand needs to be full to do that. So I don't know if I would really count that, but that is definitely an option that exists. What up, Jim? How you doing? Also I don't see the card anyway, so I still don't know what it's called. Lightning Strike exists, whatever. But I think that is not really an archetype that I want to even play right now anyway. Actually, I can just go back here and finish brewing the thing. So let's Mardu midrange. I think I like the idea of that, because what happens here is that you get wrong tab. I want this. So now that I'm looking at this tab here, I'm gonna grab the list of standard decks, and you'll see like the top 5, 6 decks here are all playing black, right? Like Liliana is just absolutely freaking everywhere. Like Rakdos midrange is gonna play for Liliana for Obnixilis, which I don't hate. Shieldred seems pretty sweet. Blood Tithe Harvester, Knight of Dusk's Shadow. Opponents can't gain life. Just think, oh, no, I won't be playing that. Archangel of Wrath is gross. Is that the one that costs 2 and 2 white and you can kick it with Mardu colors? Yes, yes, yes. Flying lifelink. If it was kicked, it deals 2 damage, and if it was kicked, it does 2 damage again. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. Like that card seems all right, especially like the just the big body on lifelink. Did Legion Angel leave standard? It did leave standard. Okay. Um, so yeah, I think what I would want to do with this is really just play a deck like this, right? Like you get to play like Invoke Despairs, Meat Hook Massacres, Kiki Jikis, and like just a bunch of good solid removal cards like Strangle and Liliana and stuff. But adding white to the deck also gives you access to things like Wedding Announcement, which is just like really, really solid, right? Like you just get at least a 3 for 1. And I don't know that that's really something I want to skip out on. Like, here we go. Orzhov midrange. I have to assume it's got. Oh, it's just not even playing Wedding Announcement? That's got to be wrong. What are you doing? An ambitious farmhand? I don't like that. Tenacious Underdog. This card is fine, but I don't know if I would play 4 in a format that wants a lot of copies of Graveyard Trespasser. Henrika seems okay. Like, this seems actively good with Wedding Announcement anyway. Why aren't you playing Wedding Announcement if you're playing Henrika? That seems wrong. Liliana, Soren. Soren obviously seems okay. I don't know if I. Hmm. Fateful Absence, Infernal Grasp, Invoke Despair. Farewell seems lit. Bankbuster is absolutely gross. Restoration of Iganjo seems fine. Like you can discard a Tenacious Underdog and then bring back really whatever you want when you have the Restoration Chapter 2 kickoff, which is great. And getting a basic Plains is also nice. So, I don't know. I don't hate this. And if you want to go ahead and meme a little bit on the fact that it makes spirit tokens, go for it. Um, the deck that I have built and kind of like is this. I called it Team Edward because it's like tribal vampires. Um, so here's what this is. So you get to play like 2 copies of Evelyn and Covetous, which the 5 drop 2/5 flash whenever it or another vampire comes in, you get to set aside a card with like a counter on it, and the cards with collection counters on it, you can cast one or play, not cast. You can play 1 card with a collection counter on it per turn. So like if you resolve her, you get to like make their land drops, for example, stuff like that. But you get to play like Graveyard Trespasser, Liliana's, Kiki Jiki's, Obnixilis, Blood Tithe Harvester, 2 Tenacious Underdogs. And I didn't want to go with the full 4 on this because this card just like loses to Graveyard Trespasser. So like I didn't really want to like put that non-bow in the deck, right? But we got 3 copies of Infernal Grass, 4 Voltage Surges, and I'm playing 4 Voldaren Epicures because like you have try braids. I thought about braids, and I actually do own braids on here too. Yeah, I've actually got 3. So braids is a card I considered in this too, because like you have enchantment for a type, you have artifacts off of your blood tokens, so you get rid of like their I don't know, um, meat hook massacres for example, stuff like that. Like you can get rid of their epicures to make them sacrifice a creature. So like that is totally an option that's available. And then the sideboard, what I did was I put in Sorin so that we had more planeswalkers, just like this other deck actually had. Um, was it? That's not what I want. That's what I want. So like you have like these, but also like this kind of plan where you just like have a shit ton of planeswalkers after the sideboard. Um, I had a braids, 3 copies of Burn Down the House and a Meat Hook Massacre. I don't necessarily know whether I should be reversing these numbers or not, because like Meat House Massacre is obviously super stupid broken, right? Like the card is really absurd. But I didn't necessarily want to not kill Evelyns from our opponents if they have like Liliana tick up Evelyn, right? For example, that's a really. Oh, you can't see the sideboard. Right. My bad. In that case, I can do this so that you can see the sideboard. So we've got 2 Duresses, 3 copies of Parasitic Grasp, 2 Abrades, 3 copies of Sorin the Mirthless, 3 Burn Down to Houses and 1 Meat Hook Massacre. And I'll hide chat real quick so that you can see it too. Oh, right. There we go. So that way we got to hide chat so that we can actually see that for a little bit. And I've kind of liked this, but I think the deck can do something more powerful, right? Like if you play, for example, let's get out of here. Like I know I don't have wedding announcements, so that's going to be like a blank spot on here, but like I said, I don't plan on playing enough standard to like care about that so much. But like you can play like wedding announcement, you can play the same Obnixilis like Liliana thing if you want. Braids might not be that bad, but I don't know that I want like a million 3-drops in a deck either. So like you can play like all 4 of these. And I do like the 2 copies of Tenacious Underdog. Oh my god. There we go. Like I don't think I want to play more than this again because there's so much Graveyard Trespasser. But speaking of that, I do want to play that. And even more than the 4-drop that you named, the top left of the screen is out of frame. That's because I'm not on my arena thing. There we go. Too many different games. So, like, this is kind of like a base of where I wanted to start from. But instead of playing the Archangel of Wrath, what I wanted to play was Sarah Paragon, because we've got so many powerful 3-drops that I like the idea of being able to buy back things like buying back Obnixilis, maybe even with oh god, what is that stupid mechanic I'm thinking of? Somebody help me out. Nope. Oh, buy back casualty. Casualty, that's what I'm thinking. So like you can, if you want to just like have a bunch of Obnixilis, right? Like you can Sarah Paragon, get back Obnixilis, cast Obnixilis with the casualty, sacrificing this if you need or want to. So like that's an option that you have. Angel of Wrath is a thing that you can have. And the lifelink is pretty relevant. Like flying's good, lifelink is nice. Isn't 4 Lily and 4 Obnixilis a little bit too much? If we're playing true Mardu colors, then the answer is probably yes. But that's why I don't have like necessarily a curve that I want to play with this either, because like we're already at 26 cards, assuming that this is something that I even want to be playing in the first place. If I were to do this, I would probably stick with this, shave one of these, or maybe play 4 of these and shave one of these. I could also just like, yeah, I don't know, there's a lot of options. Like we can play a copy of Edgar in this. Here he is. Like, so now if you play Edgar, you get access to just, you know, if this thing dies, then you get 1/1 tokens every turn and it comes back. If it doesn't die, then you have a 4/4 with your vampires getting +1s. You have wedding announcement, so tokens come here, tokens come here. And maybe this is a style of deck that actually does want braids. But the problem that I had with this is if I add 3 copies of braids, which I think is going to be the limit that I want to play here, then I'm already at 30 cards out of probably like 35 that I want to be playing. And then I don't have anything like, say, Shieldred in the deck. And that's another powerful card that, I probably want access to. I want some copies of like, Voltage Surge and Infernal Grasp and things like that. So this is kind of why like I didn't really have much of a starting point with this. I could take like 2 of these out and just like not play all 4 Sarah Paragons, which is reasonable. Archangel of Wrath flips games, but it's also a pet card of mine, so I'm biased. And yeah, like I said, the lifelink is relevant. Like the card is good. Um, I just don't know that it's necessarily the card that I want to be playing. More than Sarah Paragon, because like Archangel of Wrath is good. Sarah Paragon is fucking busted. Like a lot of the times what'll happen is like you get to Liliana of the Veil, you make them sacrifice something, they spend a turn or so attacking Liliana to try to get like rid of their value, but then you just like cast Sarah Paragon and now you have access to your Liliana again. But also having Wedding Announcement and Edgar almost completely invalidate your opponent's Lilianas from being able to make you sacrifice all of the cool things that you care about, which is really nice. So we can do like Infernal Grasp, Voltage Surge. And so we could play something like this, or I could just like skip out on the surges and just play Strangle, which gets around cards like Werewolf Pack Leader. And That's fair. Paragon is stupid good. Right, like the card is just like absolutely fucking busted. So now I have like a somewhat coherent deck where I've got like 6 2 drops that are good for value. Like this has the blood tokens, this comes back. And the 6 2 drops here play very nicely with Obnixilis, which is kind of what I was thinking the first time around when I wanted Obnixilis in here. Pack leader rotated. Oh, was it in D&D? I thought it was in the werewolf set. Am I wrong? All right, maybe I'm just wrong. I can deal with that, especially since I don't want to play against the card anyway. Um, so what is Jund Windgrace? What is this? I don't know that I've seen this before. Epicure's Harvester, Soul of Windgrace. Okay. Workshop War Chief, so that's basically new Thragtusk, and then lots of value. Oh, this is a trample spell that draws cards or something like that? What does this do? 7 damage, trample damage, destroy. Oh, you naturalize for less than the damage that is trampled over. Okay. Diagraph Rebirth. Cost 1 less for each creature that died this turn, but it's only a sorcery, and you reanimate and it flashes back for 7. That card's okay. Windgrace can take lands from opponent's grave? Can it? Land card from a graveyard. Oh, shit, that's kind of cool. Oh, and this is the problem that I actually had with the list that we just drew up, though. So if we do all of that, then remember this list, because I've got like the braids right here, there's no Kiki Jiki. So like, and it's not like I have Yorion to really justify it's better in modern where it takes Urza Saga, but it's still cool. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I don't know that I would play that as my 4 drop in modern over something like Bloodbraid Elf, but it is a very cool card nonetheless. Like, I don't hate Lord of Windgrace at all. Yeah, so like this is kind of what I was like almost considering for building, but like I didn't necessarily Voldaren Epicure, yeah, that one. So if I were to play Voldaren Epicure, then I could train take these strangles out, and instead of strangle, I could play like 1 or 2 of the Meat Hook Massacre in the main. I could play Voltage Surge rather than Strangle, especially since it's just like is an instant, which is super nice, right? The other thing that I could do, since I have access to like red in this list, I could play copies of Flame Blessed Bolt out of the sideboard, which help take out things like opposing Tenacious Underdogs. But playing 2 colors takes me away from Wedding Announcement, which I think I actively want. Like, so it really just becomes like a, okay, Andre, pick a struggle kind of thing. I could take out Graveyard Trespasser from this list completely and put Kiki Jiki in this spot, but then I almost feel like I'm a little weak to opposing like underdogs and stuff like that. Um, if I did that, the list kind of looks like this. And this is not bad by any means, but I don't necessarily know that this is really where I want to be currently, right? Like, this feels decent, but I don't know that it's like big enough, you know? So, what I want to do here is actually just go back to comparing a lot of these lists just to see what I even should be playing around in the first place, minus the obvious answer of Liliana. So, let's update titles. Okay. There. The mana isn't good enough for Mardu. Um, Honestly, that's probably pretty close to true too. Like, Mardu specifically doesn't have access to a Triome right now, which really sucks. Um, like, oh god, that's gonna take a lot of scrolling. Let's take this out. So like all of the color combinations are the same ones that existed in Shards of Alara, not the ones that existed in Khans of Tarkir. So like you have Jund, you have where are they? Oh, I just saw them. Here we go. So we've got like Esper, we've got Grixis, we've got Naya, we've got Bant, and we've got Jund, wherever that is. Here it is. Still too many 3 drops. And this is a lot of 3 drops, and that's kind of the problem that I had with really like the just the standard format as a whole, because that's really a problem that a lot of decks have, because three drops are just really freaking good. But like, look at this deck for example, just Grixis mid range, and Andy Awkward is a pretty good player. I've run across him plenty of times. I actually just fought him last month on uh is it Phoenix in Pioneer. But like, look at this list. Like, you have four Corpse Appraisers, three Lilianas, two Kaitos, and four Fable Admira Breaker. So what is that? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 three drops here. And we do have a few more than that. Like, we have 1, 2, 3, 16, 19. But we're not playing like the really expensive cards either. Like, we're oh, I'm sorry, they have Soul Transfer too, but like, we're not playing any Meat Hook Massacre, which is at least a 3 drop all the time. Like, we're not playing like any of the Sorns in the main, which is a 4 drop. We are playing the same number of these, but like, you'll see that the mana curves are fairly comparable. Like, I'm even playing an extra Infernal Grasp over the Soul Transfer because I want more 2 mana removal. So like, I think that just is what the format looks like. Like, 3 drops are just where it's at right now. Conversely, I could play something like a mono red aggro deck where you're just like, all right, have fun with your 3 drops. Here's a couple of 1 drops. Good luck dealing. And I think that's also a reasonable angle to attack the format with, because like, this is just ultra low to the ground. Like, it does one thing, you know, goes burr. I think if I were to play this deck though, I would probably try to look for some number of oh, what the hell is a 3 mana planeswalker? Chandra Dress to Kill to be in this. So like, you get Reckless Impulse, which is okay. Lightning Strike is actively good. Play with Fire. Ancestral Anger is like fine. The 1 drops both have haste, so like, that's actually pretty decent. Electrostatic Infantry is just really good. Stormseeker gives all your friends haste, and Defiler of Instinct. Like, this thing is fine. Like, giving all of your red spells Phyrexian is like not bad, because like, you can just like do this and then like play one of these for free if you've been trying to stay on curve the entire game, which is pretty good. Like, Sekenzen's pretty powerful. I don't know that I would only play one. I think I would probably try to play two, but whatever. But you still like get like decent cards here. Like, you get Urabrask, which is haste and is like good and stuff. You get Unlicensed Hearse. The Bank Buster is just like really good, even if it's not exactly what this deck wants to be doing. You do just acknowledge that some games will just go long anyway. Like, this, like I said earlier, it helps to beat out the tenacious underdogs. So like, that's an option to attack the format with. How good do you think the Defile is? I think it's okay. Like, this card doesn't have haste without the help of the Reckless Stormseeker, but I still enjoy the fact. Oh, I knew what you meant. Um, so I think this card's like not bad. Like, a 4/4 for 4 is pretty good. Like, saying like, you go to Wendy's, you get that 4/4, and that's what this is. And I think that's like a pretty good value for what you're getting, just like Wendy's, right? And that's probably good enough to justify the 4 of. Also, this is one of those cards that you feel like should be legendary and isn't, so that's like a pretty good thing. Cheating on costs is always just like really powerful. So if you need to pay full mana for your things, you can just do that. But if you want to like play one of these and then like follow up with like multiple haste creatures afterwards, like, that's pretty fucking lit. So like, that is one angle to be able to attack the format with. And McWinsauce, if they're playing it, is probably a pretty good person to like take advice from on that. What is this? So let's see. We've got Harvester, Spirited Companion, Meat Hook Massacres live over here, Fables, okay, Infernal Grasp, two Sarah Paragons, Henrika, Angel of Wrath, Eliasa. How good do you think the other ones are? Um, I because they all say permanent and not like um spells, I think they are actually like fine for what most of the constructed formats want to do. Since I don't play any commander, I have no opinion on that. But I'll go ahead and pull them all up here. So here's all of the defilers. So defiler, the white one, is you get all your white spells that have Phyrexian white, and whenever you cast a white permanent, you get a 1/1, which is okay. This is probably the worst one if I'm being honest. This one seems really fucked up. Defiler of Dreams. Um, like, the flying is decent. Phyrexian blue is pretty good. And whenever you cast a blue permanent spell, draw a card. I think that is easily the most powerful of the bunch. But Powerful doesn't necessarily mean good because like the cards that are surrounding blue permanents in standard, I think are not really worth your time. The Defiler Vigor, however, this one I think is absolutely fucking busted. And if it weren't for the existence of Farewell, I would probably try to just play something with this. So this one is, Phyrexian green, and whenever you cast a green permanent, whether it's Phyrexian or not, you can just like play whatever. You put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control every single time. And I think there's real potential here within a format like Standard, where that the removal is like fine, but not like actually good. A 6/6 for 5 with trample is also just on its own pretty hard to deal with. Like, we've already seen how much of a hard time people had dealing with cards like Vorinclex, and that card doesn't cost 5, it costs 6. So having an effect like this that pumps your entire team every single time you cast a permanent, yeah, each, right? Like, this card is really freaking good. Um, but you have access to things like this. You have access to like Leaf Crown Visionary to like play elves and draw cards each time. Like Beast Caller is pretty good. There's a thing for what is it called? Gala Greeters. So, and I'll go ahead and walk this back real quick and then kind of open up something because I was thinking about this too. So let's slide you over to traditional standard and Defiler of of course it's the only one I don't have one of. So I got to do this again. So like say we play like this Defiler, we play Leaf Crowned, Defiler of Vigor with Great Henge. Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong, that is a really powerful interaction. Unfortunately, I just like don't play Commander, so like the Great Henge, unfortunately for me, is relatively irrelevant since I'll never cast a Great Henge. Like you can technically play it in Pioneer, but like why would I when we have spirits? Um, but you can play this, you can play Gala Greeters, and then that's like a pretty good start, right? Like for your elf core, because like this gets you counters or life or mana whenever you cast another creature. This gets you cards whenever you cast an elf. And when you do like this, remember that you're also saving a mana with the Defiler. So like if you have these two together, that's really the wombo combo, right? Like you get to pay 2 life, save mana on an elf, and then you pay the actual mana to draw your card. So you're kind of cheating on mana, but you're also getting mana with things like Gala Greeters every time you cast a creature too. Even if it's tapped, it still feels like there's something there. And now we get to just like look at the rest of the elves in the format, right? Like we get to play like the Llanowar Stalker for like an okay 1 drop. Like this thing gets +1/+1 every time you play another creature. Like, you get extra mana with the Loam Speakers. So like there's like a real elf package here somewhere. The only real problem with this is that like honestly, this is like I don't know if this is really like the thing I want to be doing. Like this is not bad, like a Death Touch elf that can get large. What else can I play? No, that's bad. Is there a planeswalker that says elves? Oh god, legacy elves? Right, like it's almost like you're playing a legacy deck in the world of standard, and I don't necessarily know that I hate that. There's gotta be like some planeswalker that says something smart about elves or synergy, right? No, no, no. What do you do? Oh yeah, no. And that's I forgot this was still legal. They also stack, right? I don't think you'd need Shrine to Nyx to break this. Well, no, 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 because remember, like, this is a standard deck. This has nothing to do with Pioneer. So, like, the fact that this is just, like, a thing you can just casually do in standard, I think this is Keldheim Planeswalker with... Oh, it was in Keldheim. Tyvar Kel was his name. That's who I was trying to think of. Thank you. But that rotated out, so we can't play that. But yeah, so, like, in Historic, you have the Elf Planeswalker. I mean, true, but we're not playing Historic. We're only building Standard today. Because that's what the Mana Trader series is. Like, any of the cards that are just, like, not Standard, unfortunately, we don't really get to consider. Is there anything green that says, like, draw that is not a Planeswalker? I just want to, like, see if I have access to more cards. Why are these coming up when I very clearly click green? Okay, that's Kicker green. Oh, the back half of you is green and Cleave is green. Okay, fine. The Great Henge? The Great Henge is not standard legal. That was way back in Throne of Eldraine. Um, so now what I'm doing is I'm looking at all of the green cards in the format that have the word draw card attached to them. No. That's actively kind of bad. Glorious Sunrise is cute. If I were to play an effect like this, I think I would play what is the card called that doubles the power and toughness of all your shit? Whoa, hold up. Oh no, Werewolf Pack Leader just rotated out. Damn it, never mind. I was gonna say I could play like a red green deck with the 3-drop that draws cards every time you hit something. Tamio Safekeeping is also not a bad thought. So now we're just looking at all of the green cards that exist, period. Like this isn't bad. That is bad. I don't want that. Shigeki. What is Shigeki? Okay. Oh, are you the thing that gets lands? Uh, yes. You pay to bounce this thing. No, I don't like this card. Um, I understand why the channel would be good. I honestly just don't know that I really want to be doing this because, like, I have so many really good 2-drops that have synergy with each other that I just don't really think that's a route that we need to be taking. Like, I already have like a good draw engine in the Leaf Crown Visionary, so like anytime I get to like make a bunch of mana, right? Because all of my 2-drops that are not this thing make mana. So like, this makes mana even if it's tapped. One, yes, yes, yes. Unnatural Growth. That's what it's called. Yeah, this thing. So if I wanted to like play one of those Glorious Sunrise type of effects, I think I would rather play this. Like just having this, making this like a 12/12 trample seems absolutely lit. And then if I were to do this with the Defiler, every time I cast a green permanent, my entire team gets power and toughness, which is super dope. Does anything green have haste? Is that a thing? I know you give lands haste, but I don't want to be doing that. Is there still no, no, not in standard. Um, like nothing that is one in green actually adds mana. Like you have access to this Ascendant Pack Leader, but like that doesn't actually make mana. All of your cards that make mana cost 2, but upside, they're all elves, so they also have synergy with the Leaf Crown Visionary. But none of them cost 1. Like there's no Elvish Mystic and there's no Llanowar Elves in the format. Here's another good suggestion. I don't hate Storm the Festival here, so I could just like do that. And Storm the Festival can get Defiler of Vigor. Huh. Shit. All right. I actually don't hate that. So what else could I do here? Fight Rigging is not what a card I want to play. Pack Leader is definitely not a card I want to play. It is free, so with the Defiler, so that is a thing to consider. Um, you get Double Strike. You find cards I don't care about. Mill a card, 3 or more creatures, exile, upkeep, exile a card from a graveyard. That's not awful. I don't want that. Fang is not bad for the family. Generous Visitor. Do we still have the land aura that draws a card on enter the battlefield? Do you mean Abundant Growth? I don't think that's been in standard for a really long time. There's a 3-drop that performs that function, but I actually think that's out of standard now too. Is it called Gift of Paradise? Or is that the one that adds 3 life? No, that's the one that adds 3 life. I think you're thinking of Abundant Growth, but that's been out of standard for some time. Um, what else do we have access to here? Llanowar Stalker we already have because it's a 1-mana elf. So definitely still open to suggestions. Just looking at all the cards that exist, Tamio Safekeeping doesn't seem bad. So like I don't know, we could do something like 2 here, and that helps to protect you against like all of the red removal, which is relatively cheap. And the fact that I've got a lot of like really cheap creatures here also helps a lot against like Liliana. Um, so what is this? Target land. Yeah, like this is really good against Liliana too. Like I can play like a 1-drop of some sort, play this thing, Liliana down ticks, but is pretty embarrassed by just immediately being attacked by a land. Um, so like that's not bad. What are you? Play an extra land, get 3 life. That doesn't seem great. No. Oh, it's literally bite. Okay, don't like that. There was another one, not abundant growth, but maybe misremembering. Um, Land aura that draws a card on enter the battlefield. All right, let's find out. I think the answer is no, but I nope. Enchant creature. Whenever a human you control dies, draw a card. Whenever a creature with a +1 counter on it dies, you gain 2 life. That's adorable. Looks like that is not a thing that exists in standard. Like there are a few of those types of effects that have existed in like any of the enchantress decks and stuff like that. And in Kaldheim, you had access to all of the runes that could enchant lands and still drew cards, whether you enchanted a creature or the equipment or whatever the permanent is, you drew a card with each of those. Maybe that's the thing that you're remembering. Not sure. But here, like this doesn't seem that bad actually. But we're looking for 2 more cards to play. Like I could play the werewolf that we just scrolled past, the one that says naturalize, but this card requires to be really good. Maybe I confuse the sheltering bows with a land aura. Maybe. Urban Utopia. I have no idea what that card is. Oh, you know what? If that card you're naming is an alchemy legal card, that would explain why I don't know it, because I don't play any alchemy. Um, so let's look that card up because I have. Oh, that's Guilds of Ravnica. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that means that this card hasn't been in standard in like 3 years. So here's the card that we're referencing. Oh yeah. Okay. So like this card would be pretty decent, but like we don't need to transmute mana because we're playing mono green. We need to actively be adding mana. So like this card is certainly not bad in the decks that I don't know, for example, played Yorion that want these effects, but we're not playing that. Glad I don't do standard anymore. The power level was fun, but cycling my cards out of the format is too expensive. That is a great point. And it's one of the things that I do tell people all the time. Like, if you're going to be playing Magic and you're playing Magic on a budget, then honestly, I do not recommend standard, even though it has the lowest cost of initial entry of all of the formats. Because the cards rotate. So over the long term, you'll end up spending a lot more money than you would on, say, like playing one Pioneer or one Modern deck. For example, I've been playing Modern Spirits, and I actually just looked this up not that long ago, since 2018, and it's 2022 now. I've been playing it for about 4 years and a month ish as of like right now, and at the time, the Spirits deck was only like $500 or $600. Each of these standard decks that we're looking at is probably almost that much, but you have to like continually update your cards and buy them every like Jesus Christ. Yeah, here we go. So Pioneer seems cool and cheap at casual levels. Facts, like you're not wrong. And even at non-casual levels, if you look at Pioneer, the deck that I've been championing for a pretty long time, $173 for a deck that is highly competitive. Like this deck is absolutely fucking sick. And I've been, doing really well, winning tournaments left and right with Mono Blue Spirits. And this entire deck isn't even $200. If you look at like the comparison between that and half of the standard decks here, you'll see that in tabletop, these things are like $600 for a standard deck, $500 for a standard deck, $550 for a standard deck. So like the fact that this is much more expensive than the Pioneer deck I've been playing anyway, but also these cards rotate. It makes perfect sense that you're not playing standard for monetary reasons because the cards rotate. You're just going to spend infinitely more money, and that's one of the things that I've been recommending. Is like if you're trying to play Magic and are not aspiring to go to things like the Pro Tour and whatnot, then save yourself the money. Don't play standard. Nothing wrong with that. What browser do I use? It's called Opera GX. I absolutely love this thing. So, I mean, the UI itself is also really dope, but it's got a few features that I really like. Like, for example, here it's called GX Control, where I can actually hard put limits on things like my network limiter, RAM limiter, CPU limiter, like memory limiter, so that this browser is not going to go ahead and eat up all of my computer's resources while I'm doing things here. for example, like I'm talking to y'all, I'm got a Twitch browser open and things like that on the other screen over here. I've got both Magic Online and Arena open at the same time, and this is something that everybody knows eats up a bunch of resources. So the fact that Opera will give you the option to, limit the thing that usually takes up the most resources, usually your Google Chrome, right? And it'll help you stop things like just random freezing, frame dropping, stuff like that from coming up all the time. So, not sponsored, but I do love this browser. Also important, like this thing comes with, I don't mind opening Instagram. It comes with like little messenger bars here too. So like you can set up all of your different messaging services. Like you'll see right here, I have a Facebook Messenger pop up or a notification. I'm not opening that here because I don't know what that's going to be. But Instagram, I don't mind. Like click on that and it just opens up my Instagram and you'll see like, I don't know, somebody's little kid on their first day of school, whatever. So it's just like a really handy browser for sure. So I don't know, recommend. Not sponsored, still recommend. I'm gonna wait to play. I'm gonna want to play new decks anyway. I'd get bored if I play one deck all the time, and there's nothing wrong with that for sure. Like even I, who am known for playing one archetype, I still brew all the time with spirits. I play different versions of the deck. I play different decks on this channel all the time, and you just don't really want your game to get stagnant. Mama Magic Gwentastic. Hey, what up? Oh, so anybody who does not know Mama Magic Gwentastic, look up her channel. She's got a lot of really sweet, a lot more casual content. There's a lot of stuff that's just like very fun stuff, like various games on her channel, things that are like commander combos. And some of those videos have been pretty successful. So I've seen it. It's awesome. And yeah, I don't know, give her a like and a follow. But until the next Modern Masters comes around and completely messes up Modern again, that might happen for sure. That might be a thing that happened. Tabletop card prices explain why tabletop metas are different from digital. Having a new set come out, causing a deck or two that locks you out to explode means a massive hit to your wallet. And that's for real. Like, remember earlier when I was talking about the differences between what I'm playing online, even in my mono blue list, right? Where if I go back over to Magic Online, we go to Pioneer Mono Blue. So over here, what I've got, because I expect the format to be a lot more streamlined online, I see I've got like 3 slip out the backs here, but a 4th one in the board here. I've got 3 disdainful strokes and a 2 negates here. And I've got Aetherseer Harvesters over here with all 4 copies of Mystical Disputes. You'll notice that this deck specifically isn't playing any copies of things like, say, the Nebelgast Heralds are in the main here, but not over here. I've got like no Brazen Borrower here because remember that talk that we had earlier about temporary lockdown? I don't expect to see that online. So I've streamlined this list for online meta to be a lot more targeted towards what I plan on playing against. Online, you'll see a lot of like mono green ramp. You'll see a lot of Rakdos mid range, which explains the 4th copy of Slip Out the Back. So you really just want to consider where you're playing for sure, because when you play online, you'll end up seeing a lot of the best decks, but it's a much smaller metagame than what you can see on paper. And there's a couple reasons for that. Like people can't afford every deck on paper. People can't afford to switch decks all the time on paper. There is no such thing as a rental service in paper unless you're sponsored by your local gaming store. So like there's no mana traders to let you go ahead and, you know, there's no mana trader. So you can't just like grab the most popular thing and play it. Like you can't just go, oh, well, I don't think mono green's going to be good this week. I'm just going to play Rakdos. Unless you have $1,000 to be able to afford both of those decks IRL. Like that's not a thing for you. So I like to consider the environment that I'm playing in when I build a deck because, that's how you succeed the most. For example, in my mono blue list that you saw IRL earlier, I had the copy of March of Swirling Mist because IRL, I expect to see a lot more blue-white control than I see online. Even though it's a good matchup, I still want a card to hedge against that good matchup, IRL, just because I see it more often than I would in online. Got time to stick around unless I get a phone call. What are we playing today? What up? So today we played a little bit of Mono Blue Explorer earlier, and I thought that the Mana Trader series this month was Pioneer, so I was super ready to play Bant Spirits, but it actually turns out the format is Standard. So we are really learning about Standard. I'm learning Standard honestly right along with all of you because I don't play the format at all. So I'm just trying to figure out, what really the thing to do in Standard is. And as you can see, we're currently at a blank slate. I have opened up Arena, and we started to kind of brew a mono green elves deck for standard, which honestly might be kind of cool. Um, oh, regarding the standard deck, is there an argument to playing the Naya elves from New Capenna with the Defiler? Maybe. Let's find out. I know that there's a bunch of three color elves, including Rocco, which is actually pretty sweet. Um, where is Rocco? Here he is. So when it enters a battlefield, you can search your library for a creature card with X or less and put it on the battlefield. And I actually do think there might be some value to doing this, right? Because you still have access to a secluded courtyard, so Rocco isn't as hard to cast as we probably think it should be. Um, did I not spell that right? No, I messed it up. All right, let's. Oh my god. Well, there's a reason I am not a stenographer. So yeah, so like this card still exists, so you can still cast cards like Rocco for like relatively consistent mana costs and stuff. Um, you like Bant, so build Rakdos. I mean, to be fair, in standard, I actually don't really have a preference because there's not enough, like, in my opinion, like good enough cards to build like a flash archetype in standard. So I just like won't be doing that. And if I did want to do that, I would probably try to build around Obscura Infiltrator, even though it's bad. Um, Black is dominating exactly, and that's actually the point I was going over earlier too. Where is my standard window? Here it is. So that is definitely a thing that we brought up because we noticed that the first six decks in the format are all Liliana decks. Like we have Rakdos, we have Mono Black, we have Grixis Vampires, Black White Midrange, Jund Midrange, and an Esper, all of which are Liliana decks. And that's why I wanted to play something that potentially got under Liliana. The only downside is that those decks are also Meathook Massacre decks. And that's why I haven't like straight up just jumped immediately on something like this, which is really what I was kind of like almost considering as a good way to get under a lot of what those things are doing. Because like if you look at a deck like this where you just like have elves that draw cards, elves that like whenever you cast a green spell, you get to like jump the whole team and stuff. You get to make a bunch of mana with your Gallic readers and loam speakers and gardeners and stuff, and you have Storm the Festivals to like power out your permanents. So there's a lot of ways that this deck can be really powerful, but I don't know that I like the idea of trying to fight uphill against Meathook Massacre basically every round. So that's one of the things that I wanted to consider when building something, because even though the idea of this seems sweet, I don't know that it's necessarily good against what the format is doing. Building green without new Harambe, Silverback Elder. I don't even know if I know what that does. What is this? Oh yeah. I've seen this. I've seen this. Um, I don't know that I'd play four of this, but it's pretty good. Hmm. The naturalized mode is pretty good. Gaining 4 life is occasionally relevant. Top five, put a land, and it's whenever you cast a creature spell. This isn't bad. I don't know if I would mind if you send the mono blue list, put it in the Discord. And I mean, the important part of this card is that it does cost 5 for Storm the Festival purposes. So playing 2 in the main could very well be like a pretty decent top end, right? Because now Storm the Festival is a lot more likely to just like hit real big things. Like you have a okay Death Touch card, or just like these, which are pretty sweet. So like that could totally be a thing if we're playing just like mono Storm the Festival aggro. And I don't know that I hate that either. Yeah, you can put the mono blue list in the Discord for sure. So, and that'll give us another angle to a stacked standard with. And while you're doing that, I'll actually open up Discord. Um, did you put it in standard? Yes, you did. Okay. And let's slide this over. So, actually, what am I doing? I can just literally start putting cards in the thing. So, like, that's one idea for standard was like mono green. But while we're looking at mono blue, let's see what we typed in here. Where's my Discord? Here it is. So what do we got? We got 4 Delvers. We got Consider. We've got 4 copies of Fading Hope. Uh 4 might actually end up being important for this. We got 4 Spell Pierces. And this might end up coming up to the thing that I was talking about earlier, where I don't necessarily know that the counter spells in this format are like really good enough, but I do understand that there's a lot of two Otawaras is a little precarious. Let's see. Essence capture. We're only playing 3 essence captures in this. Okay. We've got 2 shore up, which I do like. I do like shore up. 2 negates. We got Storm Chaser Drake, which I do like. Um, and then we've got Fairy Vandal, which has flash, so I like this. So something like this, I don't necessarily hate. Copy paste. I'll be honest, I have no idea how to do that on Arena, so I assume you're right, but I just don't know how to do it. Gala Greeters. Oh yeah, no. In the mono green deck, there were 4 Gala Greeters. Yeah, because like basically every playable elf is in that deck because we have 4 copies of the Leaf Crown Visionary. So a deck like this, I don't know. I feel like it's okay. Like I think I'd probably try to play like maybe instead of like 2 of the spell pierces, some number of like make disappears that can perform either a bad negate or a bad essence capture, but overall an effect that you probably need. Haughty Jin and Tolarian Terror. I think that is a different deck from this, but I do like those cards. So the only reason I don't want to play Tolarian Terror right now is well, twofold actually. Like Liliana versus Tolarian Terror, like you did a lot of work to produce your 5/5, and the ward is really good. Mono white aggro seems cool, but it shares the Mehook problem. True, but also I just don't like mono white aggro. Like it's just not the style of deck that I've ever really had success with. Like the 2/1 for 1 life is just not one I like to live. And I don't even necessarily think there's anything like wrong with the archetype. It just doesn't do. If you have the deck, then you press import on your deck overview page to copy it in. Aha. Okay. So just in case I need to think about this later or do it again or whatever the scenario is, and there it is. That's not it. Is it this? It is. Nice. Good to know. All right, sweet. So now I know how to do that. Thirst for Discovery. I don't hate that with 19 basic lands in this deck. That's no, that's a deck I like. Get out of that. But with a bunch of basic lands in your deck with 19 basics, Thirst for Discovery actually doesn't seem bad. So like if you do this, yeah, draw 3, then drop 2 unless you discard a basic land, but there's 19 of these here. So like that has some real potential to it. You know what we could do? We could actually build like something blue black, almost control flavored, so that like we can play this, because honestly the lands in this format for the most part are like so bad that we probably actually do want a high number of basics. But then that opens you up to being able to boomer alert. I mean, listen, man, I'm almost 40. I have no problem being called a boomer. I know the life I live. So if we built something like blue black, right? Like we don't get the Rafine or wedding announcement that white gives you, but you have a relatively stable mana base. I don't know. Is that even better than playing Esper midrange? Probably not. So what is in Esper midrange right now? Evolve Sleeper seems sick. I like that. Um, Blue black doesn't have the pain land. Oh yeah, you're right. You're almost 40, so you're young still. I mean, I I have absolutely no problem being almost 40. Like I don't, I do like to make the old man jokes in a magic space, but as a whole, I'm very comfortable with myself as a whole. What do we got for AO the Dawn Sky? What do you do? When it dies, you look at the top 7, you put non-land permanents with 4 mana or less into the battlefield. That seems sick. And then, or you can put +2 counters on each creature that's a permanent creature or vehicle. That seems also pretty decent. I'm over 40. Hey, that's all right. Get it. I see that you're still, you know, able to keep up with the youngsters and whatnot and occupy the magic space. I love that. What do we got? Shieldred, Evolve Sleepers, Resolute Reinforcements. Flash, you get a 1/1 soldier, so it's Raise the Alarm. This is literally just Raise the Alarm. Tenacious Underdog, Sarah Paragon, Kaito. You're making 40 work pretty well. Thanks, thanks. I remember 40 fondly, right? Like, I feel like the next couple of years are gonna be pretty decent. And yeah, like obviously like to hydrate, use lotion, works. Wandering Emperors, Liliana's Kaito, cut down, disdainful stroke, make disappear, one bank buster, one meat hook, three wedding announcements. Is it total mana four or something with four? Any number with total mana value four or less. Okay. I actively really like Evolve Sleeper. I might actually. I get asked if I'm 30 yet all the time. Nice, nice, nice. Um, that is something that comes up for me fairly often too, where it's just like I tell somebody my real age and they're like, like absolutely losing their mind. Raise the alarm on a creature seems relevant in certain cases. Maybe. Yeah, I've got like a freaking mosquito got in. Ugh, hate mosquitoes. And it's like one, too, so that's really annoying. Might have to like, I don't know, turn the screen off and kill it real quick or something. It's pretty annoying. Um, but what's happening here? I do like Shieldred. I like the Rafine. Evolve Sleeper is awesome. The three mana, right? Like it's so good. It's basically like Ascendant Spirit, where on the last level you are allowed to use it more than once. Um, what's in the sideboard? Duresses, another Bankbuster, another Massacre, Brutal Cathars, Soul Transfer, a fourth Wedding Announcement. There's an Archangel, but you can kick it once, and then Edgar's that I talked about earlier. Ah, missed him. But yeah, just like Ascendant Spirit, you can totally play more than one of these. I'm still in major debate if I think Evolve Sleeper is good. I'm still doubtful. Um, I think Evolve Sleeper is actively really good for a couple of reasons. Like, of course, it's really good when you draw it late, right? Like, there's no real debate about that. But if you're playing in a format that's like mono Liliana and you want to make sure that things like your Rafine survives, then you just have like one drop, two drop that plays well around Liliana, and then like you play this, and then they play little Liliana, and now you just don't have to sacrifice really the most relevant card that you've played. You've sacrificed like either your token or your 1/1, whatever. I'm having Ascendant Spirit flashbacks for sure. That's exactly what I'm saying there. Gonna go by, see you around. All right, cool. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you for chatting, and have a great rest of your day. So like something like this, I actively kind of like. I think I'm going to change some numbers around maybe, but this person just won the standard challenge. So it might be more correct to just like, I don't know, play the experienced players list and see how I like it and go from there. Also, when was this? The 4th, so just 4 days ago. I think I might change a couple of things around, not that many. Um, and it says non-land. It is non-land. Okay, my camera went. Oh, you're right. It did. All right, let's see why. Thank you for mentioning that. What happened here? Esper Super Friends could be good with Luxure, Cruelty of Gix, and the new White Saga whose name I forget. Are you talking about Restoration of Iganjo? All right, let's do this for now. There. I'll put little cartoon me over here then. And then when I go and eat lunch, I will go ahead and yeah, I don't know. I like this. Let's so until I figure out what the heck happened over here. Oh, poor little guy. Okay. Camera did a little bit of overheat. That's fine, I guess. So I've seen the second action. It's sick. Yeah, I don't know. I might play this. Rafine is dumb good. I do agree with that. Rafine is really silly. Urza assembles the Titans. I don't know the reference that you're making there. Rafine is dumb good. That is not wrong. So here's what I think I want to do. I'm gonna go ahead and use this as my little opportunity to go ahead and eat a lunch real quick. So what we're gonna do is exactly that. I'm gonna go ahead and That's the White Saga, not Restoration. Oh, it's literally called Urza Assembles the Titans. That's like a card title. Okay, shows you how much I play, right? Um, let's look that up and see what it does. What does this thing do? Um, so you scry for 5, and then you reveal the top card of your library. If it's a Planeswalker, you put it into your hand. Okay. You can put a Planeswalker card with mana value 6 or less from your hand onto the battlefield, and you can activate loyalty as abilities twice rather than once. I think this card is not bad. Like, because you have the ability to read ahead, I think this is actually like not. Yeah, I think this is okay because like I actively hate chapter 1, but that's why this card has read ahead. So like you can just put a planeswalker 6 or less from your hand onto the table immediately. I think that's all right. And then the chapter 3 is obviously pretty just busted, but it costs 5, so you should be allowed to do something busted for 5 mana. So I think I'm actually kind of on board with this, but I don't know that I want to be playing like a Super Friends deck. Like this isn't bad. I don't know that I want to play Super Friends. If I did want to play Super Friends, I would probably include this, but a lot of the support that you had for Super Friends is just like I'm not gonna say not there, but I think it's not as good, right? Like maybe I'm spoiled by cards like Interplanar Beacon that we've had in the past, but I think this is just like okay. Cruelty of Gix might fit better in this slot. And another card I'm gonna have to look up. The Cruelty of Gix. What do you do? Here we go. 5 mana. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a creature or planeswalker. So Despise. So you cast Despise. Search your library for a card. Oh, you Grim Tutor. So Despise and then Grim Tutor, and then Reanimate. This seems okay. I like the fact that it's a graveyard and not your graveyard. So like that doesn't mind. Bear in mind if you use chapter 3 multiple times in the same turn, it doesn't give more than 2 activations. Oh, does it say the word twice and not an additional time? It does say twice, not an additional time. You're right about that. Good to know. So yeah, so like if you during your draw step you just like naturally let this take up to 3 from 2, and then you cast a new one and choose to read ahead, you don't get a benefit if you immediately read ahead to chapter 3. So that is good to know. Um, but I don't plan on that being relevant today because I don't plan on actually playing this card. Um, but yeah, so here's what we'll do because it's 3:55 now. I'm gonna come back at 4:30 ESTs, so about 35 minutes, and in that time period, I'm gonna go ahead, eat myself some lunch, um, and by the time we come back, I will also have obtained the cards for the Esper deck that we just went over because I do like that deck. I like the AO Dawn Sky. That card seems kind of lit. And I'm just going to play a first couple of matches with it as is and see what I like and don't like about it. If we end up winning, great. Obviously, keep the deck as it is and keep running it back. If we don't like the deck, then we'll talk about the things that I don't like, and then we can keep playing more. Another East Coaster? Yeah. Upstate New York. That's where I am. Um, sniping a Titan of Industry with this? Yeah, Titan sucks. But yeah, I'm gonna do that. And like I said, I will see y'all at 4:30 my time.
to be saved, someone to clean up and tame. Oh, some things never change, never change. You think I would look pretty on your arm once you cover up my bruises and battle scars, but it always ends the same. Can't bear the things I've had to face, got you crying on your knees in pain. Oh, some things never change, never change. Oh, you'll break your back to make me feel again, suffocate to make me breathe again, lose your mind from endless pain. Some things never change, never change. Oh, redemption never came. I stopped asking for forgiveness, cause you should know only fools tread where the angels fear to go, but you keep trying to get too close. Save myself by turning into stone, so save your judgment cause you just don't know. But some things never change, never change. Oh, they say I should feel guilty and change my ways, leaving crumpled bodies in my wake. Swear I didn't mean to make them break, swear I didn't mean to make them break. But they're so delicate and so mundane, and they keep coming like a moth to a flame. Oh, some things never change, never change. You'll break
All right, and back, and it looks like things have been fixed and working on all that good stuff again. Unfortunately, I did get all the cards for the deck, which is pretty sweet, but I didn't get the copy and pasting function to work off of Goldfish over here because it just, I don't know. So I'm manually typing in all the cards. So that's annoying, but whatever. They're all here, so as soon as I'm done actually typing them in, we can finally start playing our standard matches. And depending on how much time I want to spend playing Magic here, we could play anything between, I don't know, 1 or 2 and 10 matches of standard. So we'll end up finding out how much we really just kind of intend to play here. For these. But overall, I think this is going to be a pretty fun deck. I typically like archetypes like this, so I expect good things here. 2 of these. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually still looking at the exact same deck list that we saw earlier, and I'm just kind of, like I said, manually typing in all of these things so that we can have our standard deck ready to play for the event. There he is. Yeah, what up, Call of Duty? Nice username. Yeah, one of the things that pops up in my brain and kind of lives in my head rent free is the scene from what's that movie? Wreck It Ralph, where Vanellope does the whole Call of Duty line, where the game that they are going into is called Hero's Duty, but of course she being a child hears the word duty and just absolutely roasts the main character, and it's pretty hilarious. And realistically, I will probably find some kind of excuse to make that joke in a video at some point again, because I've already done it once because I just wanted to, but I'll probably find an excuse to do it again. All right, so one of these, one in the main, one in the board. Wedding announcement. One over here, 3 in the main. And what am I missing? Sarah Paragons. 1, 2. Missing Tenacious Underdog. There's only one. There. So let's see. Darker Wastes. Gaze of Poilos. White bordered. Gross. That's actually one of the things that I don't like about the full arts for Deserted Beach 2 is that they actually do almost look white bordered, and I am certainly not here for that. So we got one island, one swamp, one plains. And I'm still a pretty big fan of these Theros Beyond Deathlands. I like these a lot. We got one Otawara. We have Towers. Shattered Sanctum. Say that 5 times fast. Shipwreck Marsh. This thing Sure. And one Takanuma. Alright, so the main deck is done. The sideboard, Wedding Announcement, Mate Hook, Reckoner Bankbuster. We need some Duresses. Got 3 of these. Disdainful Stroke. Lives over here. 2 copies of Malevolent Hermit. Man, this card's so good. Like, until Vildelian Hexcatcher actually just got printed, maybe take out a Wedding Announcement for Liliana. It could be a thing where we play 3 Lilies and only 2 Wedding Announcements. However, like I said, I don't actually play this format like that, so I'm literally copying and pasting the list from the challenge winning archetype. And afterwards, after I actually have some reps and a little bit of gaming experience in, I will then go ahead and, provide some input and note things that I like, things I didn't like, things like that. And from there, I'll make adjustments. But for the first couple of matches, I do want to, trust the expertise of the person who actually plays this format. And then, of course, we can learn as we actually go through matches. Because Liliana is obviously very good, but she's also kind of omnipresent, and a lot of people just might have plans for her. She could be fairly easy to play around in standard, where she has been better in other formats. So I don't want to make any assumptions that I know more than somebody who's actually playing this format and just won a tournament this weekend. So I'm just gonna, like I said, literally keep this exactly as it looks, copied and pasted, and I'm just gonna do that so that everything's nice and visible too. So what all do we have here? There. So that, for screenshot purposes, is what we're looking at. So what do I think of For a Darker Ways for Azoria Spirits and Pioneer? I don't like the Pain lands, but I do like the fact that they allow us to keep mana untapped every turn, starting from turn 1. So I will play For a Darker Wastes when I do play Azorius. So I think, honestly, as long as you're just like not really playing against a ton of mono red and mono white aggro where you are, then 4 copies of a Darker Waste is really good, because like who cares against blue white control, for example. But the life total can be super relevant against Rakdos, which comes up all the time no matter where you play. So it could just end up being that 4 copies of a Darker Waste is just way too many. But the mana sucks for blue white because you don't have Seachrome Coast, so you might just have to kind of take your medicine and hope to dodge the more aggressive matchups. So it is certainly playable, and it's a lot better than most of the other options we've had before, because like remember blue white was playing previously what was it, mana confluence, so you don't have to play that anymore, and you can tap a darker waste for colorless, and that's fine. So there is definitely upside in blue white spirits too. Weird, I thought it would hyperlink here, but it doesn't. Oh, so no, only because I actually haven't done the thing yet. So now that I've actually done the thing, I can put it up on here, because like I said, I just got done typing it in, as y'all saw. But let's do this. Let's make a new folder for standard, because I definitely did not have a standard folder before. As per mid-range, this is a standard deck. Where is the deck? Oh, did I do it again? I think I did it again. I did. Let's delete this. So, actually, excuse me. The reason why I wasn't able to do everything all nice and quickly is because the copy paste function didn't work. So, it's pretty funny that it decided to kind of misbehave in that function yet again. So, let's try again. Nope. Okay. Export. Yes. Rewrite. Do this. Oh, I'm probably going to have to copy and paste this all the hard way. All right, fine. I'll do it over here instead. At least Stream Decker, even though Stream Decker breaks all the time, I at least know how to use it. So I'll be able to go ahead and do that over here. So now, if anybody wants to make fun of me for, being old man Dre, this is where it actually shows. There we go. So we can do that. We can set the deck as our current deck. And I will also update here. There. So now that we have that, anybody who wants to type in !deck, you'll be able to see the deck in either YouTube or Twitch. It doesn't matter where you're watching this. You'll be able to see the deck list just the same. We pray for Seachrome Coast in the upcoming Phyrexia set. Jesus Christ, pretty please. Like, unfortunately, I think the next set for us is going to have the other 5 Plain lands to enter Standard, which, ugh, you know, but it's a thing. Um, but Jesus Christ, Seachrome Coast would be so good so that we can have access to it in Pioneer. Like, I would be very happy to play Blue White Spirits if we had access to Seachrome Coast for just like actually good mana. The Cavern and Vial, Jesus Christ, I wish. That is, I won't go so far as to say it's ultra greedy, but like it's kind of ultra greedy, and I'm here for it, and I want it. So, okay, what do we got going on here? So we've got three copies of Cutdowns, two Evolved Sleepers, a Reckoner Bankbuster, four does AO to Dawn Sky, which I actually like. So what is it again? Look at top seven. You put any number of non-lands total manu value four or less. Okay, I can deal with that. They must. They must. I will definitely implore them to do that. Like, pretty please and thank you. Like, I need that in my life. So now that we finally have our deck all together and stuff, we know what format we're playing. I'm gonna try once again to play a standard match this time, not a pioneer match. So we'll jump all the way over here in standard and standard tournament practice. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and wait for my opponent. Oh, here it is. Waiting for this person, waiting for this person, waiting for this person. Perfect. So as soon as our match is actually paired, we'll have an opponent. We'll do all that good stuff, and then we'll see if the deck is anywhere near as good as it looks slash feels. I certainly hope so, obviously. Jesus Christ, man. Cavern and Vial? I'd be really happy with either Cavern or Vial. Is there an argument for Malevolent Hermit in the main with Liliana? Probably. Because obviously you get some value out of discarding it, and then you can disturb it for the back half and stuff. And there is definite value to that, which is why Tenacious Underdog sees so much play. I don't know how much you actually want to be casting the back half of Malevolent Hermit in standard as it looks right now, which is probably why they're not in the main. Like, it is nice that it's a creature, it can trade for sometimes some stuff out of the mono white deck, but I don't really know how necessary that is or how relevant that is. It could very well just be a really sweet wombo combo, right? But for now, I just don't know. Still waiting on our pairing too, which tells me that not a lot of people are playing standard. Um, I think what that means for us then is that I'm only going to be playing one match of this for now, and then tomorrow I will spend the entire afternoon playing the rest of the standard matches. Because I don't want to be having everybody waiting like 5, 6, 7 minutes in between matches. That actually sounds awful. I'd probably go with Denick over the Hermit. I do like Denick. The Liliana +1 seems irrelevant in this deck. It is. So, or that's not necessarily true. It's not that it is irrelevant in this deck, is that you don't actually have upside to it in this deck. And I think those things are a little bit different. So in this deck, because you have a lot of cards that give you two for ones, right? Like you have Wedding Announcements, you have Kaitos, you have Wandering Emperors, you have Sarah Paragons, which gives you a lot of Liliana relevance because you can discard your three drops and then cast them. Um, I think it is better for you to almost kind of think of this deck as a deck that wants to wear your opponent's resources down with Liliana rather than trying to get synergy. Because if you every card you have gives you a two for one, like, this thing draws three cards, this thing can draw infinite cards, like this gives you two for ones, this gives you three for ones at least. Like, if you're doing all of those things, then you'll eventually wear your resources down simply by having more of them available than your opponent does. Like, in a pinch, Sarah Paragons, Sarah, nice, cute. So I do like that. And yeah, Shieldred's good. This just plays a bunch of really solid cards, and I'm here for it. Do we have an opponent? Still no. Wow. Yeah, these queues are hella long. Man, this is actually kind of wild. Okay, it's been 3 minutes. So you know what I'm actually going to do? I think I'm going to go ahead and actually call it for the day. Because there's still no match. It's just, yeah, I don't want to have people waiting like 10 minutes for this because I don't know how many people are even playing standard. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of call it for the day. Hopefully, more people are jumping on tomorrow so that we can actually go about our matches and check out the list in the meantime. What list? Did you send me something? I don't see one. Unless it was maybe on. No? Give it 3 minutes. I mean, we just waited like five. So yeah. So you know what? Here's what I'll actually do. I will go ahead and spend the rest of the afternoon, like actually like talking about this, making a full primer, and actually like giving it the attention that it deserves into like a real video. And then tomorrow, when we actually play some of these matches, I'll be able to attach those matches to the primer that I make tonight. And then by the time Friday afternoon slash Saturday morning comes around, that can be a combined video for one of my, I guess, more common YouTube contents. I think that's what we're going to end up doing here. So I'm going to go ahead and call that because there's still no match. So that's just absolutely kind of nuts. I think it's the combination of today being the first day and people probably not really wanting to play standard. Copy and paste since I won't link here. Go ahead and send that to me over on Facebook Messenger or Discord. Either way, I'll go ahead and give that the attention it wants tomorrow as well, so that we can go ahead and kind of talk about that and then make that a little part of the stream. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to call that today. I don't want to have people waiting 5 to 10 minutes in between matches, and it just kind of sounds miserable for everybody involved. So that's going to be it for today. Tomorrow, like I said, we're going to play a bunch of these. And since I already drew up the Bant list and we talked about it, I might play some matches of Bant and Pioneer anyway, just because it's fun and I want to play more spirits. So that'll be it for today. So as always, everybody, thanks so much for watching, stopping in, for chatting, having all of the fun with me for the last like 4 hours now. It's been a pretty good day overall. And even though we only got to play our arena matches, we got to learn a lot. Like we got to learn what happens in standard. Everyone's on arena because animations. I mean, sure, but like that's where most of the standard is going to be played anyway, because like it's not like you can play legacy and modern on arena. So the fact that most people play arena on standard, I don't even mind. So the tentative schedule for tomorrow is going to end up being between 11 and 12 a.m. EST, where I live in Eastern Standard Time. And I'll be ending the stream right around 3:40, 3:45. I do have a little something to do over at 4 o'clock. After I get back home from that, if I want to play more Magic, I'll jump back on. If not, that's fine. I can go ahead and work on making this deck into like a real video so that we can actually talk about standard like at length. So that'll be a bit of a more organized day, if you will. But once again, I will see all y'all tomorrow. Both y'all have a great day as well. Everybody who's watching this later, have a great day to use too. Thanks.